All right. I think we are live. What is going on, everybody? This is one half of the Xbox 2 podcast. My name is Rand L. Thor 19, the man with the million. And once again, I am joined by my co-host from Windows Central, although he is a bit sick today. So make sure everybody sends their loves to Jez because he is under the weather. He doesn't have, the big C. He has something else, but Jez is here. We had to do the show because I know people didn't want to wait for us to hear our thoughts until Friday, and who knows what's going to happen the rest of the week. So, what's going on, Jez?
I'm doing rough, man. It's really annoying to be like have whatever illness this is that I've got. I'm not sure it is. At this point, I think it might just be really bad seasonal allergies, but I've never had it this bad before. But apparently there's like a pollen issue in the UK right now, so maybe it's that. I don't know. But alas, I'm gonna persevere, and I apologize if I sound really rough. I'm really tired, but it's really annoying because I want to be on that sort of hype train, because for me, this show is the best show in years and years. It's one of the first shows where I've like almost every game appealed to me, and I'm just like, I was buzzing. I was ill, but buzzing at the same time. It's a unique feeling.
You just, as somebody says in chat, Dova says in chat, you just need a few pints. Feel better.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man.
Shout out to Chris for becoming the newest member of the channel, by the way. Appreciate it. Yeah, because I definitely want you to be yourself, because you're all over social media talking about how great the show was in your opinion, and that's not necessarily going to be reflected in what you're saying because of how you're sounding and how sick you are, but it is kind of what it is, right? So
it is what it is.
Anyways, guys, welcome to the show. We are so very glad you're here on this special Monday. I think on Friday we're still going to do a show, but I'm going to try to grab a bunch of people from the community to give overall thoughts about this showcase, what Xbox has in store for this year, and all this good stuff like next year and things like that. So we're still going to try to do another one later in the week. But if you guys would do us a big favor, make sure you hit that like button, share this out to let people know we're live on this Monday. And without further ado, this show is once again sponsored and powered by Manscaped. So, Jez, I don't know if you know this, but I'm sure you do. But everybody else in chat, summer is indeed coming, and it's coming real fast because it's like 90 degrees here in Chicago. Tomorrow is supposed to be 100.
Damn.
Wednesday it's supposed to be 100, and then later in the week it's also supposed to be 100. So summer is definitely here in Chicago. The sun is shining, shirts are off, and your balls are smooth. You heard that right. Your friends at Manscaped are here to make sure your beach balls are as smooth as Floridian sand. I don't know about going to the beach during 100-degree weather with the sun shining. That seems like something I would hate, but,
if you do, you should get some smooth balls.
You should.
For the occasion. Right?
I'm much more of a winter person than I am a summer person. I actually prefer the fall in general. But anyways, in summer, you want to kill some cold beers and barbecues, not kill the vibe with pubes peeking out of your swim trunks. That's why Manscaped has the Performance Package 4.0 to keep the party in your pants looking crisp and refreshing all summer long. Dive headfirst into the summer by joining the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, and get ready for hot guys summer by going to manscaped.com for 20% off everything, plus free shipping with the code XB2. So thank you for Manscaped for once again sponsoring this show. We appreciate it. And yeah, it's a hot day here in Chicago. The air conditioning is going to be on all week. It's freaking ridiculous.
It'd be nice to have. It'd be nice to have air conditioning, man.
Oh, air conditioning is wonderful.
We don't get it in Europe, really. Not in houses. Maybe like if I go to a store or something in town, they've got air conditioning, but I've just got a fan. Got a fan. I'll have to make do. But to be fair, it's not that warm here.
Right.
It's 16 degrees Celsius, which is like what?
I don't know,
60
what is
F
that?
or something like that.
Shout out to Dova for becoming the newest member of the channel. Thank you. And Jez, I figured this is a good question to start off the podcast, which we got one here in the super chat, because it is something that a lot of people were DMing me about, and I know you were getting DMs about because you closed your DMs, right?
I did, yeah. I've never closed my DMs before, but it's gotten to that point now where I just can't handle it. I can't. There's too many. I feel bad not being able to reply to everyone.
So Alex goes, "Hi guys.
I'll probably open them again when
Hope
it's
all is well. Any comments about Jason Schreier? Comments about Avowed?"
You want to talk about that now or later?
I mean, we could talk about it now because I think that's like the big thing people are really. I mean, it's something to talk about right at the beginning before we get into the show. Shout out to Bob for becoming the newest member of the channel. I mean, so like I said, usually when people super chat, we usually answer right away to our best of our ability. So I figured why not start with Avowed not being there. We'll go into deeper detail like when we go over the show, but before the show started, this was a thing. So maybe it kind of works out because this kind of was all going on before Xbox took the stage. Jason had some comments. He didn't know if Avowed was going to be there, and he said that some people had left the game, some developers and that had gone through reboots or whatever, which is true, but that was more towards like the end of 2020 when it all changed, as far as you know.
Like I mean, I think Jason said this himself that he'd heard that it had gone through reboots before at the start of 2021, and the gameplay that we saw was from summer of 2021. So the gameplay that we saw was representative of the direction they're going in. It's not representative of whatever it was before. And from what I understand, what was like, say, I wouldn't have used the word reboot. Because reboot, I think to people who aren't a game dev, reboot implies, like when you reboot a computer, you throw away all the code, throw away all the graphics and assets and start over. And that's what like some people were interpreting that as. And Jason himself was like, "Oh my God, you guys are interpreting this like I'm saying it's in development hell. I'm not, that's not what I'm saying." Or he said something along those lines. And some people linked what he said to what Chris Avalon said before as well. And Jason said that he had separate sourcing that corroborated some of those things. And I heard that the game did lose a project manager, but it was just the result of natural churn. I actually heard they left for compassionate family reasons, and it was nothing to do with the game itself. So but Pete, that's the problem with some of these sort of when it's not a full-blown report, it gives fanboys the opportunity to spin it into a negative sort of narrative. And from what I've heard, someone on the game literally said to me, like, "Don't worry, smiley face," which I took as a positive sign. They're dev on the game. So it's sort of like, wait and see at this point,
Yeah.
A lot of us like made assumptions that it could be there this year because I think like actually no, I'm not sure I ever had a timeline for Avowed myself. I think it was reported perhaps by Jeff Grubb. I think he said that it was targeting 2022 or 2023 ages ago, but don't even quote me on that because I can't remember. And I don't. He did have a report that sort of listed some timelines for Avowed, And I would have thought, like, if Avowed was coming before next summer, then obviously we would have seen it to showcase. But maybe it's just like not ready. You know, COVID was a thing, and maybe they want to find deeper differentiation from Skyrim, because you know, we leaked it, and we talked about it, and I compared it to Skyrim. So maybe they're now thinking like, let's find some deeper differentiation or something. I don't know. But it's sort of like when people don't have the full picture on the way things are going, and we're all really excited and passionate about the future and what games are going to be like. You can't fill in the gaps in your knowledge with, you know, sort of negativity and stuff like that. You know, I mean, you can if you want, but you shouldn't, because ultimately it's like you don't have the knowledge, you don't know what's going on, you're not a fly on the wall. So just be like, that's interesting, and then wait and see, right? So
Yeah. No, it was just
I think it's fine. I wouldn't worry yet, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily worry either. I think Obsidian knows what they're doing. It's just, you know, what Jason says bears a lot of weight and a lot of credence because he has gotten a lot of things right. He's an investigative reporter for, you know, Bloomberg, before that Kotaku. So people take his word as gospel, essentially. You know, right? And you can argue he's earned that right because he's reported on a lot of things. So he put out a tweet which he quickly deleted, but it doesn't matter. Once it's on the internet for a few seconds, people are going to see it. And people saw it, and people freaked out. Be like, you know, more problems at Xbox, game being rebooted. Combine that with literally everybody and their mother, including ourselves, when we were predicting the show, that Avowed was a lock. Because, you know, at the time, I didn't know that the show was going to be regulated to only the next 12 months. I mean, who could have predicted that Microsoft was going to change up how they do their shows for the first time ever? I mean, you know, nobody.
If you read the title of my predictions article,
yeah, well,
you know, you might have had an idea.
Sure, but you still then you still predicted Avowed and a bunch of other games you knew weren't going to be there. That's the case. See,
I thought Avowed was going to launch next. Like, we talked about this.
We did, and I told you there's no way Avowed was launching early next year. Not with Starfield being there. Absolutely not. Zero chance. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like, my prediction video ended up being a bust because I just thought it would be a regular show with regular reveals from a couple years from now, because that's kind of Xbox's MO and has been for a while. Like, if I had known 3 weeks ago that it was going to be just centered on the next year, it would have been a lot more accurate. But hey, that's what predictions are for. And yeah, okay, hand me the L for my Final Fantasy VII thing. I told you guys I knew nothing about the show. Jez knew nothing about the show. I was like, this is just a fun prediction.
Are pretty great, actually.
Yeah, no, they weren't.
Did you? They bloody well were.
No, they weren't. You're wrong. You're wrong.
I said the showcase focused on the next 12 months. It was. I said there was going to be Diablo blowout at the show with new feature revealed, Necromancer. There was. And I said launch date, but they gave a launch window of 2023. So I'm going to count that too. I also said there'd be Microsoft showcasing Japanese presence at the show. They did that in a big way. Basically, my predictions were all the best. I had the best predictions. I'm a genius. I'm taking my victory lap now.
All right, Jez. Yeah. All right, calm down. Wolfgang, shout out to you for the super chat. He says, "Hi guys, thanks for all the content the past 2 weeks. Really made E3 feel like the Super Bowl. You guys just keep getting better. Phil's Japan section really shows evidence Xbox listens to fans and promises aren't empty. Feel better, Jez." Yes. Flame says, "Jezkun, I'm sorry to hear that you're sick, but luckily Atlas Chan was there yesterday to help lift your spirits. I hope you're okay soon, sir."
Thank you. Yes. I don't know, man. I kind of like this voice.
Yeah, I mean, Chris says you're sounding like a daddy ooh, so.
it's kind of annoying though. At the same time,
People are saying
I
you're
mean,
the
it
real
hurts.
MVP. Jez, you are the real MVP.
Thank you. Thank you.
What
Thank
else
you,
we got
man.
here? Michael says another year without a Batman racing sequel. Yeah, where's that Project Gotham? We need that Batman racing
Yeah.
game. Polaris
Did you see
sucks.
the news about Project Gotham, by the way?
No, is that? And thank you for becoming a news member. What was the new news?
They said Forza emerged because a pitch for Project Gotham was rejected or something,
Really?
and then they came back. Yeah, so they pitched.
Like Playground
They pitched
pitch
a new
Project Gotham?
Yeah, they pitched Project Gotham, and then Microsoft rejected it reportedly, and then they came back, and then yeah, they came back with a Forza list.
Well, I mean that worked out really well for
A
them.
Forza plan, and then yeah,
I mean,
that's how that happened.
that worked out extremely well for them, considering Forza Horizon is essentially the biggest racing game out there right now. So, yeah, I don't know. Would Project Gotham Racing was great, but maybe it just had reached its peak. I don't know. Biff says the showcase was a huge disappointment. No 007, no Slime Rancher 2, no Avowed. Nothing got me hyped. Hey man, if nothing got you hyped, you're entitled to your opinion about the show. I've seen a lot of varied reactions to the show, Jez, especially among the hardcore. It's weird because if you look at Jeff Keighley's poll, if you look at my poll, right, like I put out a poll, and I think it's ended now, or it's close to ended. So I put out a poll on Twitter, basically said, "Hey, what would you think of the show?" And it's got 5,800 votes, and 41% gave it a B, 36% gave it an A, with 16% given it a C and 6% given it a D. Now you would think, considering, I got 34,000 followers on Twitter, and you could argue that, my following is a little bit more biased towards the PlayStation side of things, the Xbox side of things, that, this showcase should have been an A, because it's Xbox fans following me, right? So the rating kind of falls in line with my own thinking. However, Jeff Keighley does his poll after every single show, and it's probably more indicative of the wider audience. Clearly, he's got 111,000 votes on this thing, with 38% saying it was an A, and 34% saying it was a B. So 73% of the people that responded to this poll, basically like 75,000 people, said the show was good, and only 17% said it was a C, and 10% said it was a D. So there's something to be said for that, I guess. And maybe
it's totally an A, man, for me.
Well, I know because, we know why, because Blizzard showed up, and you love Blizzard, and they were there in a big way. And almost was like they were acquired already, Treybone says, I like the 12-month scheme. Lets us know exactly what we're getting. And most likely after these 12 months are over, we'll get another showcase for the next 12. Yeah, the showcase, the focusing on gameplay, I really appreciated. I like the format of the show. We'll go deeper into my thoughts because I do have some quibbles, which we'll definitely get into. Reprobate says, I was at the show yesterday and was great. Cheers, fella. Oh, man, you were actually at the FanFest stuff? That's awesome. Hope you had a good time. I know, Colt was there, and a lot of people I talked to were at the show, and they said it was great. Xbox Lord Gamer says, no Avowed, Belfry, CB, and BK. Never trusting Jez again. Damn.
What?
Never trusting you again. He said there was no Belfry, no Avowed, CB, which I don't know what CB is, and BK. So he's never trusting you again.
Bandicoot.
Yeah.
And Banjo-Kazooie. I literally didn't report Banjo-Kazooie. So whatever. But thanks for the donation.
Yeah. Never trusting you again.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's almost like, I don't know. I trust Jez.
I don't care.
I trust Jez. Mr. Irishman says, has Avowed been...
Ignore all the other stuff that I got right. And then, attach the the Banjo-Kazooie report to me, which I didn't even report. So, but yeah, we got donations.
You know who's having a good time? Yesterday was the one and only Jeff Grubb. Which congrats to him, by the way, for getting that new full-time position at Giant Bomb. Because remember, he was the only one talking about the Kojima game. The only one. And there were so many people saying he was a liar. So many people saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. Kojima would never do this to PlayStation. And lo and behold, Kojima's working with Xbox. And there's petitions to get to have him not, and some of the replies that Kojima, it's just some PlayStation fans are showing their ass on that one for sure. But Jeff's having a good day. I can imagine being right about that.
Jeff was right. I always said I never heard a damn thing about that Kojima stuff, and people were asking me about that Kojima rumor all the time, and it's the one thing I couldn't dig up any information on. No one would talk to me about it, and I couldn't get any sourcing on it whatsoever. But Jeff was right, completely right, So, that's some good work from Jeff, and it just proves that you can't count out anything Jeff says. Like, Jeff doesn't miss,
Yeah, Jeff just doesn't miss. Mr. Irishman says, has Avowed been delayed to make way for Starfield? I mean, we don't know that for sure. The only way that would be the case is if Avowed was supposed to come out beginning of next year, and then when they delayed Starfield, they moved Avowed to the end of next year. But it's impossible to say for sure that that's the case. It could just been Avowed was always targeting the end of 2023. So maybe one day we find out. I don't know. Joseph says, I know some people are saying they didn't like the 12-month restriction, but overall I think it's a smart strategy going forward. When you have 23 studios plus Activision, you will need focus and got marketing. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people split on the 12-month thing because as gamers, especially with how E3 has always been, you tune in for the surprises, and usually the surprises are games that are coming out years from now, right? And it's something that's being reinforced over and over and over again by basically every company, Xbox included, right? So to kind of shift back to like, all right, we're only going to do 12 months from now is a total whiplash for a lot of people. Because a lot of people tuned in. See, I think there's a couple different groups of people. You have the Xbox hardcore who know, like, who are up to date on everything. If you listen to an Xbox 2 podcast, you're probably, an Xbox hardcore fan, or you just like what me and Jez have to say or whatever. Not even necessarily an Xbox fan. Maybe you're a PlayStation fan. Maybe you just like good podcasts. I don't know. And you listen to us, so you're probably, at least up to date on what Xbox is doing. So you're watching that, and you're probably like, man, I want to hear about all these projects. They announced all these games in 2020 I want to learn more about, and they didn't. So maybe, like, for you, it's a little bit disappointing because you're like, oh man, I really want to see Avowed and Fable and, Indiana Jones and all these other things that I've heard about. And like, you built it up in your head and you're like, I'm expecting this, and then you didn't get it. So you're like, oh man, that sucks because I want to learn more about this. But then there's just like, maybe like general audience who doesn't really follow this stuff. They just want to tune in and see what they're going to play soon. And they watch that, and they see a few things that they like, and like, man, that was a good show. All this stuff is coming in the next year instead of stuff that's announced from like 2 to 3 years later. So I think there's that. People are kind of bumping their heads up against this idea of just 1 month from now, because they normally are expecting stuff years from now, like surprises, new announcements, and things like that, like hype moments. And, outside of Kojima's game, which probably ain't coming for a long time, which Xbox broke their rule on, right? But again, I guess they didn't, because we didn't actually see his game, so I guess they didn't break their rule. Although they did break the rule on Hollow Knight Silksong, because that game wasn't in their roadmap. They tweeted after the show. So it was like 36 games shown, 35 coming in the next year. So they broke their own rule just for that Hollow Knight Silksong thing.
Mm. It's I'm just gonna get that out there right now. I prefer the 12-month format. I'm someone who's like, I'm a tech journalist and I cover tech shows, a lot more gaming shows now, but covering IFA and CES and Surface events. It's never products that are further out than a year. So across every other industry that has these kind of trade shows, gaming has always been the outlier. I mean, I suppose you could say movie theaters. They talk about their longer term roadmap, but like Xbox sort of like intersects with art and technology, right? And games are very tech bound in their production, and more so than ever. Increasingly, games are becoming these technical monsters to make. And I actually think there's been like a watershed moment with the last generation where games sort of like they shifted from CGI not being representative of the final product. And I actually think this goes back to like Watch Dogs Legion, not Legion, just Watch Dogs, and the Division when they made like CGI trailers for Watch Dogs and the Division and stuff like that. And then the finished product was like nowhere near as good, and it got all these accusations of downgrade, blah 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 blah. So, you know, and this is something we've criticized Microsoft for. In the past, we've heavily criticized Microsoft for showcasing CGI trailers that got everyone hyped up, and then the finished product was Recore, or the finished product was Crackdown 3. And these CGI trailers aren't representative of the finished product. So, in a world where the CGI trailer is pre-rendered and can be like big budget and all this stuff and make things look amazing, and then we come to the gameplay reveal and it's just the studio's not the studio to make that kind of game. Like I think Recore especially was egregious, because the Recore CGI reveal trailer is amazing. It's it's great CGI, great animation and all this stuff, but they attached it to a game that had a studio of like a few dozen people, and it created this bubble of expectation and pressure on a game like Recore, which is basically an indie game. Recore is basically an indie game. And when everyone saw it, they were like, oh, damn, that's not the CGI trailer I saw, hyped up with, I can't remember the chap's name, but they had some big name creators attached to that project, characterized. I can't remember his name, but, it's and it had all this hype about it, and then it was like, oh crap, we've got to ship this game for $30 now to make up for it, and so I think they're afraid of putting these expectations out there now, because if you put them out, like if you misrepresent what the product's going to be because of the way the delta between CGI and what gameplay is eventually going to look like, then I think it's better to just show gameplay. But because of how difficult development is now, I mean, if you're making a 360 game, making a vertical slice of your game is potentially easier than making a vertical slice of a modern game with layers of effects, layers of physics which aren't implemented, and all this extra polish. Like a lot of this shit that really makes a game shine, that's right at the end of development. Like Halo Infinite looks a hell of a lot different when it launched than what we saw of it the year before, right? And yeah, it got delayed a year to make it look that good, Starfield's probably going to look a lot different when it launches too, and that's because a lot of that final polish comes in right at the end now. It's not like back in the day where you could only have so many physics or so many lighting systems or so many like effects and stuff like that. They all have to come in later after all this other stuff's been implemented, and it's this massive team effort, So I think one of the reasons this is happening is because making a vertical slice has become so complicated. And I've been speaking to someone at Blizzard who was talking to me about the Diablo 4 trailer, right? And the Diablo 4 trailer was amazing, right? Like, it looked
Mm-hmm.
absolutely incredible, mind blowing. They showed off so many damn features. They showed off characters. They had a CGI trailer for the Necromancer, which looked absolutely amazing. God, Blizzard cinematics are just incredible. And they showed the PvP systems and stuff like that. That took months to make. It took months to put that trailer together. And back in the day, like on the 360 gen, and even like at the start of the Xbox One gen, making those kind of vertical slices was a lot easier. But now the games are vastly more complex. You know, you've got to have, like, if you're doing like a slice of a PvP system, you have to have like servers implemented in live. You have to get marketing team involved. You have to make sure all the lighting's implemented and all this other stuff, and all this other stuff's implemented, right? So I think like the era of showing games really far out is going to be restricted to like only certain developers, and that sort of have a solid pipeline in place to create these vertical slices easily. Whereas like some devs, they're just perhaps not set up for it, you know. Or some engines maybe aren't even set up for it, where it's harder to produce a vertical slice with all the physics and all the lighting implemented. Because even now, people are saying like, "Oh, look, Starfield looks buggy. It's got FPS issues. Blah 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 blah." You know, that's because it's not fully polished up yet. They literally said they took an extra year on the game to polish up some of this stuff. So, for me, just because of how much people whine about downgrade this and downgrade that, when they have to use CGI to fill in the gaps, I think this is a better format. And I think it's a better format for a multitude of reasons. If you're taking time out of the show to remove a CGI trailer, which doesn't, honestly, CGI trailer makes us all hyped and makes us all happy, but it doesn't help us really. It doesn't tell us how a game plays. It doesn't give us any real information. But with that, like two or 3 minutes you've used for like a CGI puff piece, which might actually hurt your game if it doesn't actually become, indicative of the finished product, you can show off a AA game or help an indie dev get some eyeballs on his game, you know, or get feedback on a game that's closer to being launched. So, you know, a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, well, I don't like these indie games and stuff like that." Well, you know, so instead you want a trailer that just has a logo in it,
Well,
so you can feel. I don't know.
I've told you.
I prefer this format.
I've told you before. A lot of people, when they see indie games, their eyes just glaze over. I've told you this consistently and repeatedly.
That can glaze over, but the industry is, Microsoft's mission statement is literally, you know, help others achieve more. You know,
No, I know that. I
Microsoft's
know that.
business is to help developers. So if people are like, people want to have constant AAA bangers in these shows, it's just never going to happen, and it's going to happen even less than ever. So I would advise people to get over that now, or you know, go to another platform, because this is Microsoft's job.
I think what some people want is they want to tune into a Microsoft show to see Microsoft Xbox games from Xbox's first party. Just like they would tune into a PlayStation show and want to see the first party games from PlayStation Studios, or to tune into a Nintendo show to see what Nintendo's doing. I think there are some.
Well, this is why, like, in the past, we've argued that they should go to a Nintendo Direct structure, where they have like short shows that maybe deep dive into a game that's coming soon, and maybe a short show and have like that focuses on indies and this here and there. But people wouldn't even see the indies at the indie show because, like you said, people don't watch them. I think it's a good thing that they sprinkle indies in between those bangers. They got way more eyeballs than they ever would have done if people weren't tuning in for Starfield. You know, everyone came to watch Starfield at that show, and because of that, a lot of indie games had eyeballs on their game that they would otherwise not have had. So I'm not gonna downplay that.
Well,
I think
yeah.
that's amazing.
No, I mean, I think that's good for them, and it bolsters Game Pass. You know, having those titles on there. And people have asked me like, "Hey, do you ever think we see a future where Xbox doesn't showcase the indie games?" And I'm like, get that out of your system, because Xbox, if you haven't been paying attention, Xbox has basically been talking about diversity. Diversity in different genres, diversity in games, period. So I think like you can just expect that there's going to be a wide range of games that Xbox shows, because they want to, like you're trying to reach 3 billion gamers, you're going to try to have something for everybody. And I think maybe that's what this show did right for some people, is if you're watching it and you can see a couple games that you like, you're like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to play this. So because like when I was watching it, the show, we'll get into it. I'm gonna read some of these super chats, and then we'll go over the show quickly, and because I do have some things I want to say about it. Do have some critiques and some praises for it. So Spartan Ghost says Starfield looked very dodgy in places, kind of mid. I thought Starfield looked pretty cool, especially the 4K trailer. I would recommend anybody who hasn't seen the trailers in 4K to do so, because it elevates them completely. It's like night and day watching it. I watched it on Twitch, and the stream quality is bad. The stream quality for these things are always bad. They do a disservice to these games streaming it at 1080p and whatever bitrate they're doing. It doesn't look good. And then you go watch it in 4K, and Starfield looks like way freaking better. Forza Motorsport looks completely insane when you watch it in 4K. Like, all these trailers are like, oh man, that kind of doesn't really look good. And you watch it in 4K and you're like, never mind, that actually looks pretty impressive. I don't know if it's a limitation on YouTube or Twitch's end, but I feel like the stream itself doesn't showcase the games very well. Like how they look, you know what I'm saying? At least I think so.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's like something they can actually change. Let's see what else. THX says the last Sony State of Play had one first-party game. Horizon called them out in VR. Everything else was multi-plat. Yeah, I mean, I don't really like the whole, whataboutism. Like, well, what about PlayStation? Whatever. It's like I like to focus on this is what Xbox did, not necessarily like, well, PlayStation did this and nobody complains or nobody says anything. It's, Batnab says, I just believe Xbox hasn't earned an indie show yet. Well, they do their ID at Xbox shows on Twitch. They partner up with them. They've done like 2 of them or something. So, and shout out to Tom Henderson in the chat, who was right on with pretty much everything he said in his stream beforehand. Thank you for not leaking the show. It was much appreciated. Because I have a feeling you probably could have if you wanted to. So, let's see what else we got here. Sagronaut says, Ringers, too much CGI, where's the gameplay? Xbox, here's the gameplay for some of the games coming soon. Whiners, where's the CGI for future games? Yeah.
Seriously, the goalposts move every damn time.
Well,
I think some people just want to be mad.
There are definitely people that wake up and their first thought is, I'm going to tweet about Xbox because I hate that platform. They don't even talk about PlayStation, their preferred platform. They just love to troll, or they just love to hate on it. Usual suspects out there in social media, you know who they are. Probably live sad, pathetic lives, and they need to lash out about certain things, right? So it's always something. Yeah. It's always something. Like, Xbox heard the feedback. People complained the last 2 years, we don't want to see any more CGI announcements. Like, that was the thing. And that was even one of my criticisms of 2020, especially 2020. I was like, 2020 had CGI game trailers up the wazoo with no release dates. So I was like, you know what I want to see? I want to see gameplay for these games, and I want to know when they're coming. So it almost sounds like Xbox directly listened to at least what I was saying, as well as everybody else, and like, okay, we hear you. You don't want CGI anymore, and you want to know when games are coming. All right, here's gameplay of stuff coming in the next year. And then people are like, well, wait a minute, there's no hype announcements. Like, where's Perfect Dark? Where's Avowed, and where's Fable? And it's like, well, those would have been CGI stuff. You told us you wanted gameplay, and you told us you wanted stuff coming soon. So here you go. So There's also a part where I think a lot of people don't even know what they really want. You know what I mean?
It's work.
They,
It's work.
I don't think. Sometimes I think people don't know what they truly want, because then somebody tries to give it to them. They're like, no, not that. I said something else. Biff says more Starfield tomorrow. Best part of the show. Yeah, I do wonder what we're gonna see tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I mean, tune in tomorrow
I mean,
to see what they show at the extended showcase.
there was things like I definitely didn't like. I didn't like, or things that I had more questions about. Like, for example, the Diablo 4 trailer absolutely blew my mind. Everything about the Diablo 4 trailer was just amazing and perfect and exactly what I wanted, right? And that was my game of the show, Diablo 4, easily. But I was expecting to be like more hyped about Starfield, genuinely. You know, I was extremely hyped when they showed the spaceship customization and the space combat. I'm all about that shit. It's one of my favorite features from Star Wars: the Old Republic, was having my own spaceship and being able to fly it around and blast things, and that was so much more limited than what they're doing with Starfield. Like, I love that fantasy of building a spaceship and like having it. That's like every child fantasy, basically. But I will say, I thought the gunplay looked a bit weird. And I was nervous when he shot the dude point blank range with a shotgun and there was no gore. I was like, wait, where's the gore?
We know you love your gore.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? You shooting this dude with a shotgun point blank range and there's no gore? Bethesda, you are known for this. You are known for gory gunplay, and are you gunning for a teen rating here? The idea they're gunning for a teen rating, that worries me. Because that means, like, what if there's no mature themes in the game and stuff like that, I thought there'd be some blood and guts, and I was thinking, like, man, it'd be so cool if you could have blood and guts in 0G, and there's like little bits of brain and eyeball floating around. Nah, okay, that's getting dark now. But you know what I mean? There's question. I've got questions about Starfield, and I think, like, I get that some people were kind of like, man, are we still using the Fallout 4 engine? Because it's the Fallout 4 engine. You can just tell. And I get why they use it. It lets them, like, iterate quickly. It lets them build massive worlds more reasonably, than without using so much procedural generation and stuff like that. It lets them build tools like the Fallout 4's base building and the Starfield spaceship building. It just works, and that's the creation engine. It lets you create. So there is some sort of trade-offs with the Fallout, using the creation engine. There's a trade-off, I think you trade off some sort of maybe modernity, some sort of visual, modernity, In exchange, you get like this highly moddable platform that lets them iterate and build massive worlds very quickly. So I'm kind of like, I'll accept that trade-off if the story's good and it feels good to play, and it looks like it is going to be that good. I just want to know more, and I'm hoping that the year of polish will sort of be kind to the game. But man, Diablo 4 just floored me, man.
Yeah,
I was like, I was goosebumps when the Necromancer came out, because I'm a Necromancer main, and I was worried the Necromancer wouldn't be in, and then the Necromancer comes out, and it looks like they're sort of building the lore around it, and oh man, it just looks so damn good. The blood wave spell they've got going on, like, what the hell, man? There's some twisted people working on that game. But that's exactly what I want from Diablo. It's really funny because I remember back when Diablo 3 launched, it got criticized for being too colorful. Like, people were like, "Oh, this is a Diablo. I want it to be grimdark. This game has a rainbow in it. So they really took that feedback to heart. It goes, all right, you want grimdark? We were gonna make the grimmest, darkest game ever,
dude.
And that's like what they deliver it.
I thought Diablo 4 was the best looking game at the show. Yeah, but like Forza Motorsport probably was the most impressive. But there's a part of me that kind of was just like, I am not a sim racer. So Forza Motorsport's kind of like, that looks really good, right? That looks truly next gen. The first like racing game that's gonna have like um, ray tracing on track and stuff. But what I saw of Diablo 4, I was like, now that looks ridiculous, and I want to play that as soon as possible. Starfield, my initial thought of Starfield was like, okay, I want to play this a lot. I am a sucker for sci-fi. I'm not really that much of a fan of Fallout. And yeah, the gunplay kind of looks a tad bit wonky, but I like everything else that they're doing. I like the space combat and stuff like that. So for me, Diablo 4 was the game of the show, essentially. Like, that is something that I actually want to. I want to play with you day one, because I played the Diablo games, but I don't play them for long. I play them, just to kind of experience the story, and then I move on. But that looks like that's going to be a really fun time, and I have no idea what class I want to play. So Diablo 4 definitely was the one that impressed me the most. I would say if you go to Summer Games Fest and include Xbox, I would say the game that's probably impressed me the most, like, out of all these shows, is Callisto Protocol. Like, that is the game that I am probably dying to play the most out of everything I've seen. And it is coming pretty soon. It's coming in December. Like, everything I've seen from Callisto Protocol just speaks to my soul. So, yeah.
I think that game's going to get banned in Germany.
Well,
And I'll be in Germany when it launches, and it's going to get banned. I know it. I know it's going to happen. But yeah, the Callisto Protocol looks just incredible.
It does.
There's just so many things to be hyped about.
Well, yeah,
Sorry, go on.
Well, I was gonna say we're gonna go over the show. I wanted to get through some of these super chats because there's a few, quite a lot of them. So Space Tovakin says the lack of Xbox games this year sucks, but at the same time feels like Xbox is doing the right thing for once. Lots of different games, pure gameplay, and a clear roadmap of healthy expectations. And Starfield blew me away, went beyond my expectations. Love you guys. Have a great show. Thank you for all the support. Let's see what else we got here. Nerdy Metalhead says, after seeing the showcase, I could really go for a Gears collection. Yeah, there's the one take, which once Starfield and Redfall got delayed, I pretty much knew that they weren't going to have anything for this fall. The only hope was maybe Forza Motorsport, and as we all know, Forza Motorsport Spring 2023. So all Xbox has from first party is As Dusk Falls and Pentiment. And you can make the argument that when it comes strictly to first party, this will probably be the worst year for Xbox first party ever. Definitely going back to the Xbox One, because I'm struggling to remember what games first party put out every year during the 360 era. But then I've said that, and some people push back and be like, well, Game Pass exists, so you got all these games coming to Game Pass, which is true. And that's why I think a lot of people love the Xbox ecosystem, and why the demand for these consoles are really high still, because as a hardcore gamer, somebody tunes into this podcast, somebody watches Colt's videos, my videos, PlayStation guys' videos, who are on Twitter all day. What matters most to a lot of us is exclusives. It's what defines the consoles for all of us. It's usually what we all tune into these shows to see. However, the general audience, the general buying audience, that's not necessarily the case. They're there for like the Fortnites and the Maddens and the Call of Duties and those type of games. And when you say that to some of these people, I guess they can't put themselves in someone else's shoe. Because for someone else, it could be like, the only thing that matters to me is God of War Ragnarok. And then you talk to somebody and they're like, I don't care about God of War Ragnarok. And you're like, well, you must be crazy. What do you care about? And they're like, I want to play Genshin Impact. And you're like, huh? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, Xbox hasn't really released a ton of stuff. They're not releasing a lot of stuff this year, but the Series X is still sold out as soon as it becomes available. The Series S is selling quite a bit. The Xbox is outselling PlayStation a lot of the months this year. I think it's because there's a large swell of positive sentiment regarding Game Pass as a feature of the platform. So even though first party may be lacking this year, to a lot of people that doesn't even matter because there's still going to be Harry Potter and there's still going to be Saints Row and there's still going to be Gotham Knights and there's still Modern Warfare 2 and there's still all the third party and indie games they'll be launching. To those people, like, first party is kind of like the whipped cream and cherry on top. It's not like the cake itself, which is odd to say to a hardcore gamer or a hardcore Xbox or PlayStation fan because they think the opposite, right, Jez?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people, Ran. I don't care if anything's exclusive. You can put Halo on PlayStation. I wouldn't give a damn. I really wouldn't. Whether a game's exclusive or not does not affect my enjoyment of it whatsoever. It affects my enjoyment if it's not on Xbox at all. But if Microsoft was like, we're going to start publishing all our games on PlayStation, I wouldn't give a crap. It's not going to affect my enjoyment of it. More sales. It's better for me in my view. But I appreciate that some people, for whatever reason, feel like exclusives are super important, and I used to feel like that too back before the business grew beyond the console. But for me, now they're proving that like xCloud is a genuine option. It's not just sort of not just sort of a like I can use xCloud if I don't have access to a console. It's almost as good as the real thing. It's like it's getting that good. So, in a world where people will be able to buy Xbox games straight off their TV, the whole concept of exclusive is sort of becoming old hat, But
yeah,
I look at like, what are the games I'm going to be playing in the next 12 months? And I've always had that mentality because I'm not someone who cares about Halo and I'm not someone who cares about Forza, A lot of my favorite Xbox games aren't exclusive. Diablo, Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter's like, I play Monster Hunter more than any Xbox game, and it's not exclusive. I don't care about Halo. I've never cared about Halo. Everyone who knows this podcast knows I don't care about Halo. And I play on Xbox because I prefer the controller. I prefer the interface. I've always just played on Xbox. Most of my friends are on Xbox, and most games still on crossplay. So it just makes sense that we all get on Xbox. And a lot of my friends who aren't invested in the console war, quote unquote, they feel the same way. They were messaging me saying stuff like, talking about Diablo, talking about Minecraft Legends, which I didn't really care much for. I thought it didn't show up very interesting. That's where it's didn't show up very well in the trailer, I thought. But I'm in a Minecraft Discord server, and it was like they were going crazy for it. Everyone's just hyped out of their mind for Minecraft Legends, and that's the one game I saw lots of people on Twitter attacking. Was like, Minecraft Legends is lame. What is this game? And they didn't do a great job of explaining exactly what the game is in that trailer, frankly. But Minecraft fans seem to be pretty excited for it.
What was that, Project Indus or Project Chinook?
Neither. That was Badger.
It was Project Badger. Okay.
Yeah. Come to think of it, we did get one CGI trailer, and that was for Indus. We got no gameplay for Project Indus. What was it called?
Era History Untold. So, yeah, the Gears collection thing. Maybe the Gears collection looks better now if you actually because there's no games. Maybe a Gears collection would be like, all right, well that's something. But yeah, not at the show. Who knows if it's gonna be next year, and who knows if it's real. RDX Sunafet says, can't wait for tomorrow, and oh my god, High on Life is crazy good looking, and I love Rick and Morty, and they made this, and will be awesome. Logic Bomb says, 12 months restriction and everything but Kojima, why? I think they wanted to announce the Kojima thing simply because I think it leaked, and maybe they were a little bit worried more info would come out about it, and it is a big announcement. To have Kojima working with Xbox an exclusive game is a big thing. Plus, I think it fits the theme like that Phil was talking about, which was a focus on Japanese creators, right? You have Team Ninja coming back to the platform after their last two games were PlayStation exclusive with Neo and Neo 2. And Phil's been constantly hearing, hey, we need Japanese presence. We need more Japanese games on the platform. So finally gets Persona. And then it's like, here's Kojima working on a game. So it kind of directly ties into
That was a great 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it kind of directly ties into, hey, we want more Japanese content.
I think, like, if the Kojima stuff hadn't leaked, the Kojima stuff would have been the surprise announcement that people would have, that might have scratched that itch about things that are coming later. Because I did write in my preview that I expected them to announce some things that were coming later, and I think the Kojima game basically was that. But had it not leaked, I think that might have been a bigger surprise than it was.
Yeah.
But,
that definitely probably would have been a shocker if nobody had known about it, and it just was like, we're working with Kojima. People are losing their minds right now, and they've been prepared for over a year about Kojima. Right? Have you seen some of the tweets people are sending to him?
Yeah.
Like,
because like Death Stranding 2 leaked as well.
Yes.
So imagine if Death Stranding 2 hadn't leaked, and nobody knew what Kojima was working on, and then Kojima was the first announcement Kojima makes is that he's working with Xbox. The salt will be even worse.
No, I mean the salt is pretty tasty as is, but you're right. Like, this is maybe the one case where the leak ruined the surprise, for sure, because everybody was sort of expecting it. So when Phil was like, we got an announcement with the great creator, everybody and their grandma knew that it was going to be Kojima. Well, at least people like us, but I would imagine there's a large contingent of people that probably had no clue. So, that's the thing. Like, Twitter is an echo chamber. Sometimes you got to step outside your echo chamber to get a true sense of everything that's going on.
Yeah, like, for real. Like, you've got everyone who's watching this. You've got to sort of think, like, there is a whole gaming world that is beyond the Xbox community. Beyond the PlayStation community, beyond this Twitter console war bubble. Like, if you go into the Reddits for any of these single games, everyone's just there hyped and talking about it. The Forza subreddit's hyped talking about Forza. Flight Simulator subreddit's hyped talking about Flight Simulator. The Minecraft Legends YouTube video trailer has like millions and millions of views. It might be like the most viewed thing of the show, but nobody here was super hyped for Minecraft Legends, or not many people. I know you're probably not interested in Minecraft Legends, right?
No, not really. I mean, I might actually play it. We'll see about Minecraft.
Minecraft Dungeons as well. Like, I played
Minecraft Dungeons was good. It was fun.
Yeah, it was alright. But like, these games, like Minecraft has like audience. Minecraft has an audience size that few people can possibly fathom. It's a huge audience, and and this whole bubble, it's just a bubble. It is just a bubble.
Let's see. And Brett says the flow of the showcase made my initial thought of it worse than it was, but I was disappointed. Forza Motorsport won't release until 2023, and no Age of Empire 4 on the Xbox Series X. Yeah, I was surprised they didn't mention Age of Empires 4 coming to console. I mean, I guess maybe they talk about it tomorrow, or maybe it's not coming in the next 12 months. That would be odd. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Nomad says, does the partnership Sega and Microsoft formed months back have anything to do with Sega games going to Xbox? Jez said there was more to the deal than it seemed. I mean, we've seen stuff like Humankind coming to Game Pass on day one. Sega seems really, really behind Game Pass in a way a lot of the other publishers aren't. So
yeah, Sega and Microsoft are really tight right now.
Yes,
it's awesome.
Wenario says, RNJ, good people. Thanks for the content. Very good Xbox show. Andrew says it's a B+ for me. Good pacing and great variety. Cool surprises for me like Flintlock, Eridan, and Benedict Fox. Can't wait. Can't we just judge shows based on the shows, not on real expectations or bad assumptions? It's true. Smokey Says, if
Mhm.
tomorrow's show reveals all the long-term projects and hype-style teasers, will people's opinions of yesterday's show be better? It probably would be, but expecting tomorrow's show to be them to show long-term projects and like new stuff, I think you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. Personally, I don't really think they're going to show. They're definitely not going to be showing Avowed tomorrow if that's what you're trying to hint at or trying to say. Mariano P says, please give me hopium for Halo Infinite tomorrow. Jazz, do you think we see Halo Infinite tomorrow?
Halo Infinite. I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. I mean, we both of us predicted that 343 probably wasn't going to be there, right?
Is that bad for 343 and Halo Infinite that they weren't at their show, considering Sea of Thieves was, and for whatever reason they decided to show more Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online, which was probably the worst part of the show because it was the same segment Pete Hines did last year. And it's like, to me, here's one of the problems I have with this stuff. Like, I know Sea of Thieves is incredibly popular. They said over 30 million. And I really like the charm that Rare has when they make their trailers. But as somebody who doesn't play those games, when those games come on screen, because I don't care about games as a service, at least those games as a service, like, you're talking about interest dropping to absolutely nothing. At least when an indie game like Flintlock comes on, it has my attention. I'm watching it to see if it's something I might enjoy. But when Sea of Thieves comes on, it doesn't matter what they're doing. I don't care. When Fallout 76 is on, whatever they're showing matters zero to me. And I feel like that's the most case for most games as a service. Even if they were showing Rainbow Six Siege or Apex Legends or Fortnite. Because I'm not that user that enjoys or plays those games as a service, so I've fallen off of it. So it feels like, to me, there's this huge void of the show where they talk about these living games. So that part is just completely boring, and it affects my feelings about the rest of the show because we have a good chunk of it dedicated to, stuff at least that I don't care about. Like, say what you will about the indie games, I'm watching it with interest because it's something brand new. But when I see Sea of Thieves for the millionth time, I just don't care. My eyes are I just basically, it's out one ear and in one ear, out the other. So it's like,
yeah, that's what we're talking about, though. It's like these communities exist.
I know they do.
And
I know.
For the longest time, I don't think we should. I mean, you could say, fine, it's not for you, but there are a lot of Sea of Thieves fans who are hyped to see that. There's a lot of Elder Scrolls Online players and Fallout 76 players who are hyped to see that stuff and looking forward to new content for their games, And this is ultimately what Microsoft's going for now, is a plurality of communities all subscribing to Xbox Game Pass for different reasons. That's why they had the Riot thing. Do you realize what Riot is going to do for Game Pass? Like, I suspect the very few people here play Riot's games, but I would hope that people are aware of how big Riot games are. They are huge. They are some of the biggest games in the world, and they are all going into Game Pass. All that content, that is hundreds of dollars in savings for people who are going into PC Game Pass. And it's an absurd amount of saving for people who are fans of these games, So while the Riot announcement, that does nothing for Xbox fans. It doesn't do a damn thing for Xbox fans because none of those games are even going to drop into Xbox, None of them are. They're all PC and mobile. But my God, that is going to blow up Game Pass in ways that you would not believe. It's going to absolutely explode Game Pass. And a lot of those gamers who pick up Game Pass to experience having fully unlocked characters in League of Legends and stuff, they're going to try playing other games on Xbox. Hell, maybe they'll even consider buying up an Xbox console and being like, actually, there's something to this Game Pass stuff. It's such a huge anchor Oh, and Josh says Wild Rift is coming to Xbox. Well, there you go. Wild Rift's coming to Xbox. So that's me done. I'm already pretty hyped for that as well. Now that Josh has said that. I think it's been in development for a while, right?
Yeah, well, they also have like a fighting game that's coming too. It's just
an action RPG as well. Like Riot's doing a load of stuff, but that's the thing. There were a lot of things that I wasn't interested in, and I tuned out. But I didn't think like, oh, this is boring. I just thought, oh, this isn't for me. Like, I haven't played Fallout 76 in years. I can't stand Elder Scrolls Online. I think it's terrible. I think Elder Scrolls Online is a terrible game. I'm sorry, anyone who likes it, but it just feels horrible to play. The combat system is just horrible, and but I know it's really big, and Elder Scrolls fans and people who are really big fans of that universe, it's got a lot of players, So I don't sit there thinking, oh, this is boring. This is boring. I just think, it's good for them. And like this guy, Ye Old Blitz says, Jez takes a bad, make a separate showcase for these games. I disagree. Because you get less eyeballs on them. Maybe some people will see it's a marketing event. It's literally a marketing event. You want as many eyeballs as possible on these games, right? So maybe there's someone watching the show who tuned in for Starfield who didn't even know Fallout 76 existed. And yeah, those people exist. Not everyone knows every game. And maybe they think, oh my God, Fallout, I used to play that game. I'm going to try that out. That's what marketing shows are for. They're not for your feelings, They're there to have as many eyeballs as possible. And I think it's weird to say like I think it's weird to expect the entire show is for you. I really think it's weird to expect that. In the diversity of the industry, the plurality of business models and game types and genres, it's weird to expect that the whole show is going to be for you. I don't give a damn about Flight Simulator. There's like no guns in Flight Simulator. None.
Yes, none. But they put a Pelican in it, though. Game. They put a Halo Pelican in it, though.
There's a Pelican in it, right? But I can't shoot anything. I can't role play. I can't equip armor. I can't, there's no story. It's not my kind of game. But my God, I look at it and I appreciate the technology that goes into this game. And Forza, like I don't care about Forza. I can't drive the car on the pavement and run people over like Grand Theft Auto. That's my kind of game. But you look at Forza, you see the technology, and it's like, wow, that's really exciting. The people who like Forza are gonna really enjoy this. So that's how I take it, Mm-hmm. But at the same time, for people who there was nothing there for them, if there was nothing there for you at all, then Microsoft has failed. I think if there was nothing there for you, despite how diverse Microsoft is trying to be, if there was genuinely nothing there for you, then Microsoft has failed. And I'm lucky because for this show, almost every game interested me. But that's not true of every Xbox show. Like I said it last year, like a lot of these games aren't for me, But this time, a lot of them were for me. So this was a good show for me. Now, Rand, this could be an argument for, again, the direct format. Have different shows for different people. But, at the same time, it's kind of like, well, less people would tune in to a show that was the Xbox indie show,
Well, the
Jez indie show.
They don't tune into them. They do the indie show on Twitch, and not a lot of people. I mean, people watch, but not as many as watch this.
So I think it's good that they do try and have these big showcases, and at least to show a little things here and there, If they like dedicated 15 minutes to Fallout 76, I think that would have been a problem. But they had like a little clip of it,
It felt like forever. That whole segment with Pete talking about Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online felt like forever. I was just like,
Well,
end this. End this now, please. It's the same thing you showed
it wasn't
last
that
year.
long, man.
Just end it. Just get it over with.
It wasn't that long. It wasn't that long. Come on.
Worst part of the show. Worst part. Because at least like new games, you look at it, you're like, okay, this is somewhat interesting. That it was just like, I guess you just used that for a bathroom break.
Yeah.
We got a super chat here from AAA Games or Cookie Cutter saying, glad Xbox is highlighting unique AA and indie games. AAA have been cookie cutter trash for a decade. Ooh. Miguel says, I think we're going to remember this showcase as the one that will start a trend. Gameplay, games for everyone, solid roadmap, and gameplay and Game Pass bangers. Steven says, will Xbox do another show this year, XO 2022, or will we have to wait until June 2023 to see the likes of Avowed, Hellblade, Contraband, etc.? I think that's an interesting question, Jez, because I've been thinking about this, right? Is this the format that Xbox is going to use moving forward? Like, are we going to go to June of next year and Xbox is going to do the same 12-month strategy? Because is this a one-off? Would it be weird to do it one time and then revert to basically how you've been doing it forever after that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
This is what Microsoft does. They do one thing and then everyone complains and they're like, oh shit, we better do the other way.
But is everybody complaining? Because obviously no matter what show there is, people are going to like it, people are going to hate it, etc. Like, you look at the general sentiment online, you look at Jeff Keighley's poll, and 75% said it was good. So, judging from that, people enjoyed it, which is same sentiment last year's. So I'm just saying to you, without knowing anything, because clearly nobody would know anything, I do think it would be a bit odd that they do a 12-month thing for this show and then don't do it again a year from now, and they just do something different.
If they do it differently next year, then the reality is that they weren't doing it for the reasons I outlined. They did it because they didn't have anything else.
Okay.
So, that is definitely the possibility, right? That they did it this way because they didn't have anything else. And it's certainly possible, And if they do go back to the other format next year, then that's kind of like, well, it is what it is, but
because here's what I'll say. I think this format would work better next year than it did this year, because
this year's dry.
Well, because this show was just basically a lot of showing stuff off from last year, right? So it's like you saw Starfield and Redfall last year, Forza Horizon. What were the big things from this show? Well, Redfall, Starfield, and Forza Motorsport. So there really weren't any big new things. But if they did this format next year, from June 2023 to June 2024, there'd be a lot newer announcements that would surprise a lot of people, because you'd be seeing Avowed again for the first time. You'd be seeing potentially Contraband. You'd be seeing Hellblade 2, story trailer, combat, Project Belfry. There'd be a lot more announcements and a lot bigger announcements next year, where because they didn't have it this year, I think that's where a lot of the divide is. Because I appreciate the focus on gameplay, because I've complained about CGI. So I'm like, cool. I like actually seeing what Redfall is, right? Redfall started off the show, and I thought it looked better than what I had imagined it was going to be. I think that game's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know when it's coming out. They said 2023. So in the next 12 months for every single game here, except for, Silk Song.
To throw in a shred of negativity, Redfall was probably the game I was most disappointed in.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by that. No.
Why?
I don't know, because it seemed like even before, when we talk about Redfall, you weren't really excited for that. So when I was watching that show, I thought to myself, I don't think Jez would like this. I don't think it would.
No. I appreciate it. Maybe I'm not the target market, but Gen Z battles vampires is not my idea of fun.
Oh, okay. I get why you don't like it. I think that game would be. I'm looking forward to playing it with my buddy Gopher. Like I think like the blend of
It looks cringe.
Borderlands and like Left 4 Dead sort of things. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't as
Borderlands,
it wasn't as
Xenomorph,
Left 4
nice.
Dead as I thought it was going to be. So like I think that plus I love Arcane, man. They haven't let me down yet. So Deathloop, Dishonored, what one of the other games I'm thinking of, Dishonored 1, Dishonored 2, Deathloop, and Prey. They haven't failed me. Like I love all those games. Well, Deathloop not as much as the other ones.
Dishonored. I love
What?
Prey and Dishonored. I love Prey and Dishonored, and I haven't played enough of Deathloop to comment. But
So I will.
Redfall the tone of Redfall is just completely
You don't like the
me.
tone. I get it.
It's Twilight. It's Twilight.
Oh, it's Twilighty. Okay.
It's
So
Twilight. It's too teeny boppy, man.
So as to Steven's question about EXO 2022, if they do an EXO 2022, would it be like, here's what you're showing in the next year? Has Microsoft set themselves up in a way where it's like, if they do another show, this is the way they have to do it? Or can they do something different? Could you do EXO 2022 and just do whatever, I guess?
I mean, maybe that's how they do it. Maybe they can be like, our E3 show is gonna be the next. It's like a Game Pass roadmap. Again, people are calling me out saying, but Jez, you like the Kardashians.
That is true. Thank
Dude,
you for
I'm sorry,
all the
right?
things Jez. Yeah. No, call Jez out on that. Call him out. Yeah, he likes the Kardashians, for Christ's sake.
No, seriously. If in Redfall you play as the Kardashians fighting vampires, now that'd be cool. No, you play as Kim Kardashian and Kylie and Chloe and Courtney, and they've
all
all
their
got
names?
different. Yeah, don't you? Everyone knows the Kardashians.
I mean,
right?
I know. The Kim, and that's about it.
Well, just imagine, like you play as one of the Kardashians. They've all got different powers. That'd be sick, man.
Why didn't you? You should have pitched that to Arcane.
I can't pitch that shit to Arcane, man. Oh no, people don't like that.
Because
come on, that'd be a cool game.
Because it sounds
That'd
like
be
an
a cool
awful
game.
idea. That sounds like a truly awful idea. Would so each one of the characters, would it be voiced by them as well?
Yes. Oh my god, that'd be amazing. That'd be so cool. No. And like all the vampires could be like their haters. No. They're high profile. Do you not know much? Never mind.
No. THX says, my Starfield expectations, it's a cross-gen game. Well, I'm pretty sure that's not a cross-gen game. It's Xbox Series X and S and PC only. So, not an Xbox One game, which is great. Looks like we're moving away from that, which is absolutely fantastic. Mr. Irishman says, while words can't describe how excited I am for Persona on Xbox, perfect for xCloud, by the way, I was a little disappointed with no Final Fantasy VII. Is the dream dead? Jez, is the dream dead, my friend, about Final Fantasy?
I think it is, I think the dream might be dead, brother. Because I don't think I saw a lot of people saying maybe they'll announce it at their own showcase, but if you're gonna announce that, you would have done it on the Xbox stage where the Xbox eyeballs are.
Yeah.
So I think that's it, man. I think the Final Fantasy VII dream is done, baby.
I'm sorry for hyping everybody up about my Final Fantasy VII prediction and getting people to think that it was there. You can put all the blame on me, even though I told you guys repeatedly I didn't know anything and it was just a fun thing. So this is the big middle finger to everybody says my predictions are really just leaks, which sometimes they are, but this time it definitely wasn't.
I gotta say. Back up.
Okay.
So I think you saying Final Fantasy VII was going to be at the show is a double bluff.
Oh, you think I did that on purpose?
I think I think it's a double bluff. I think you put out Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be at the show as a prediction, and because you knew it wasn't going to happen. So now you can be like, see, look, I'm not an insider. I didn't know this, but really, you knew it wasn't going to be there. So it's like a double bluff, right?
Wow,
you're tricking us.
You would. I mean, that would be very tricksy of me if that was the case, wouldn't it?
That would be tricksy.
That'd be very, very tricksy. But
tricksy hobbitses. What happened to, where's that Golem game? That Golem game didn't show up at any show.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants that game. But yeah, so Square's doing their show on the 16th. It's a 10-minute show apparently. I don't think they're going to announce it for Xbox because I would imagine if Xbox had Final Fantasy VII Remake, it would have been at their show. So if it doesn't show up here, this is the last hurrah in my opinion. If it doesn't show up here, it's never coming. And if it's never coming, then Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 and Part 3 and Part 4 or whatever, they'll never come to. So Square Enix Japan, you can just look at Square Enix Japan and just think those games are exclusive to PlayStation. If you want to play Final Fantasy, you're going to have to play it on PlayStation or wait for it to come to PC. That really seems about it. It seems that's just going to be the case.
I think like they're going to announce it for Steam, I think.
Yeah, Steam seems like a likely candidate.
Because it's on the Epic Game Store already. Every game on the Epic Game Store eventually comes to Steam eventually because nobody plays on the Epic Game Store. So I think Steam's your best bet for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Or maybe one of the cloud services like Nvidia GeForce Now. You know, that's supposedly pretty good. I've never actually used it, but yeah, I think Rand was bluffing, guys. So yeah, everyone in chat agrees. Someone said, you are actually the guy who runs the Twitter account.
Oh, the snitch. You know, some people said that was Tom Henderson running that account.
Tom Henderson's secret account.
Yeah, but he said he wouldn't. He said that's not his account. No, I am not the snitch. Jesus.
Rand is the snitch. Oh my god, it all makes sense now.
No.
To be fair, I've never seen you and the snitch in the same place at the same time.
Have we ever tweeted at the same time?
Oh, there you go. See, I've never seen the snitch and Rand tweet at the same time. That's all the evidence I need. Tinfoil hat equipped. +1 tinfoil hat. Oh god, I feel bad.
LeBurn says, as a multi-console owner, games that release day one on Game Pass may as well be exclusive. There's simply no way I'm going to buy these for PlayStation 5. RDX on the Fed says, Halo Season 2 trailer has 2 dates hidden in them. The Halo community found. One was Season 2 Direct, second one was Xbox Extended Showcase. Yeah, I mean, I guess Halo could be there tomorrow. It's just, you know, when you have Sea of Thieves show up, and Fallout 76 and ESO show up at your main show, and Halo doesn't, considering how big Halo is, I think that says a lot about Halo, in my opinion, and what the current direction of the game is, and maybe how they feel about it in general right now, right? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. You know what, Ron?
What?
I am glad there was no Halo.
Because
I know you are. I've had to sit there and put up with Halo segments. You know, we talk about being bored during segments.
Okay.
That was me. watching your Halo segments.
Fair enough.
And I've had to put up with that for years and years and years. Watching Halo this and Halo that.
I mean, you've had to watch it every year since 2018. You know.
Yeah. So now I don't have to put up with it anymore, because they're gonna reallocate. They're listening to the show, and they're gonna take my suggestion of reallocating 343's resources to the coalition. For the real franchise, Gears franchise.
Ooh.
By the way, Inverse V said that posted a link to the former Coalition community manager confirming that the Gears collection isn't real.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you should grab that link.
I should grab that link.
I'd like to see it. Sauron Grant says, the Pelican will bring Halo fans to try Flight Sim. Honestly, I was never going to ever play Flight Sim again. I played it for like an hour. Beautiful looking game. But I was just like, it ain't me. And then they got me with the Pelican. I'm like, I might have to download this and try it again for 15 minutes and then delete it again.
I was literally
You
thinking
know?
that. I'm gonna like literally download 150
Yep.
gigabytes. I mean, you can stream it, but it's like you don't want to stream Flight Simulator. You want to experience that in 4K, right?
Exactly.
So, like,
Exactly.
I want to piss about in a helicopter. I'm really I'm gonna show my mom that game. I'm gonna be like, Mom, look, it's our house, and she's gonna be like mind blown. But then I'll uninstall it because it can't kill anything.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, we had over 2,000. We had over 2,000 people watching live. Appreciate each and every one of you listening. If you guys could do us a big favor, I think we're at about 600 likes. Could you hit that like button? It's free. It's in the bottom right hand corner, depending on where you're watching. Just click on it. I don't know. We'd appreciate it. We get up to like, I don't know, 800, 900,000 before the show's over. Thank you guys so much. Aquaman says, thank you for always putting on a great show. Well, thank you for the support. C. Shira says, keeping my fingers crossed, Final Fantasy VII Remake will be announced for Xbox at Square Enix's Final Fantasy VII 25th Anniversary Showcase. But I'm prepared for disappointment. Yeah. If you want to play...
This is the thing you say,
right? What?
if they're like... Oh, sorry. I was just... you were talking about something else, but I just had a thought while you were talking about
ahead. What's your
disappointment. Well, I was thinking like... they're going to be at Gamescom, right?
Yes.
And I can confirm as well, they're going to be at Tokyo Game Show.
Ooh, okay.
Or at least they're planning to. Microsoft's planning to have a presence at the Tokyo Game Show. Presumably, they're also going to be at the Game Awards. And maybe even, Rand, we were talking about them possibly doing an XO as well. So, there's going to be other shows, right? And there's going to be more gameplay. And if their format now is we're only showing stuff of the next 12 months, maybe they show like gameplay for a game that launches next holiday season at the Game Awards, in November or whenever it is. So I think like people who felt if there are people out there who felt there was nothing at this show for them, there's going to be more shows and there's going to be more stuff, So we knew coming into 2022 that this year was a bust.
Mm-hmm.
We said that in our first podcast of the year. 2022 is going to be light. We had a bit of copium in there. Forza, we copiumed Forza Motorsport 8. We copiumed Starfield, doing everything. But Starfield was delayed, alas. And I think a lot of people didn't assume Redfield was gonna blow up.
Redfall.
Redfield.
Yes.
Redfall. I'm really ill. Redfield makes sense at least because like Chris fights zombies and Chris Redfield fights zombies, and zombies are kind of related to vampires in a way. But yeah, it's not like your slip up last week with your moorcock.
Yeah, that was people. I was getting tweets all week about it. I had Xbox employees DM me that they were dying when they heard it. Yeah, it was definitely something I'll probably never live down.
Project Moorcock.
I mean, they should name something that now moving forward after me. You know what I mean?
They should.
They definitely should.
Generally, Microsoft they use place names for their code names. I found out recently.
Oh, really?
So there needs to be a town called Moorcock. I'm gonna look that up.
You should.
I'm gonna look that up on Google Maps right now. Is there a town or a place on Earth called Moorcock?
Well, are you gonna spell it like More or Moor?
We'll try both.
We'll try both. Okay.
Phonetically,
let me get to some of these super chats. Rabanon202 says, "I'm with Jez. Xbox fanboys don't know what they want. Is it gameplay or future CGI? They should stop worrying about matching bangers with PlayStation." VK Andrew said, "Redfall looked amazing. Arcane doesn't miss." Marco says, "Kyle K can't cut a cucumber. She can't cut a vamp." I'm assuming you're talking about Kardashian, Jez. Is this true? Can Kyle K can't cut a cucumber? Is this
Kylie. Rand,
Kylie? She
God.
can't cut a cucumber.
Kylie, God. Don't disrespect the queen, Rand.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, a needs must, right? I mean, if someone can't cut something when it's a life or death situation, I'm sure the Kardashians would step up to the plate.
I don't know, because Andrew says, wouldn't the Kardashians be the vampires? You know what? Sold. Actually, Redfall would be so much better if the final bosses were the Kardashians as vampires, and you could kill the Kardashians.
The disrespect. The disrespect on this boy.
That would be absolutely amazing.
I found a place in the UK called the Moorcock Inn.
Ooh,
in fact, there's a lot of Moorcock Inns. They sell what looks like a very, very tasty biscuit. Yeah, there's a lot of Moorcock Inns in the UK, but for some reason it won't search globally. I don't know.
So there's no town. Okay.
It seems like there isn't a town called Moorcock. I almost want to I want to become a town mayor so I can name a town Moorcock. No. Maybe not.
Cal Tattoo says 6 times the detail. It just works. Effing Newson says, I don't know if you mentioned it yet, but I think Riot Games going to Game Pass PC is a great get and isn't being talked about enough. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting partnership. I think part of the reasons why it's not talked about a lot is because they're not bringing their games to console. It's a PC thing only. So most Xbox fans, I would predominantly say are console focused, console only. So they're like thinking to themselves, well, what does the Riot deal do for me? I want to play Valorant and League of Legends on my console, but I can't, so I'm not going to play it on my PC, so this deal means nothing. But it could have, I mean, there's a good chance potentially that announcement is like the biggest thing of the show, right? Because I think I read something
that's the thing.
To unlock everything in all these games is something like $700. So it could bring a lot of people to subscribe to Game Pass PC, right? Because I think was it PC or was it Ultimate? I think it was. I'm not sure. I think it was
Game Pass for PC. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's $10 a month or $15. If you want to, because I think they're said also bringing their games to the cloud, and you have all the characters unlocked for Valorant and for League of Legends. I mean, that seems like it could be something big. I know people are saying Wild Rift is coming to Xbox eventually, yeah. But I mean, they only mentioned that this is for PC and cloud. So maybe in 2-3 years we're talking about
everyone's saying Wild Rift is coming to Xbox. So League of Legends Wild Rift is their sort of it's their casual League of Legends for mobile, right? This is like Pokemon Unite. So Wild Rift is coming to Xbox, and it's going to be massive when it comes to Xbox because Xbox doesn't even have a MOBA really, except for Smite, and Smite is old. It is old. I love you, Smite, but my God, you need a new. There needs to be a new engine or something. It's old. But when League of Legends Wild Rift comes to Xbox, it's going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely massive, and everyone who has Game Pass is going to get every hero in Wild Rift for free. And Wild Rift was announced quite a while ago, and it's still in development.
Hey, Jez, we got a DM.
Once it drops,
we got a DM from Insider WTF, who says DM sent me here. Final Fantasy VII is coming. No worries. He's using the picture. That's the at of the snitch on Twitter.
No way.
I mean, I don't know if it's actually him because you can make your account. Anybody can make an account. But it is the picture, it is his name, and he says, DM sent me here. You can't YouTube remove that, so it's just, oh
shit!
But I'm just saying, so if it's true, I don't know. This could be the snitch, the real snitch in the chat saying Final Fantasy VII's coming. So if it is, then
awesome. If it is, you heard it here first. But that'd be really cool if it was true.
Could be a fake. I guess we'll find out in a few days. I would be shocked because you would think that would be at the Xbox show if that was the case.
Yeah.
As part of I
didn't even know you could DM on YouTube.
Well, no, he says a DM sent me here, meaning somebody DM'd him on Twitter saying that we were talking about it.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
we'll see.
I guess.
Matthew says $5 just to ask if Sailbound is now pushed to second half of 2023. Oh man. Tom Henderson says the snitch is here and so am I. Q X-Files.
Oh man. Should we just pester Tom Henderson for leaks?
We probably should. RRD says
Tom, tell us if Final Fantasy VII's coming to Xbox, because I ain't got a clue.
He says, what about the every studio had to submit something for the show? Was that wrong info? Not blaming you, by the way. Well, that was something I said on a different podcast, and that was only information that one person shared with me. Like, I didn't hear it from a lot of people, so it was just something fun I shared. I didn't expect it to blow up in the way it did, and I always said that I don't like take that to heart because things get cut all the time. Who knows what Microsoft was going to do with their show? I mean, they clearly focused it around the 12 months. So even if a lot of their studios submitted something, they could have just been like, nope, like we're going to go this way. So it's tough to always like talk about something that one person tells you. You like to hear it from like 3 people, but that's the thing I hate. See, I hate extra attention. Like I love doing the show. And usually when people quote this show, it's because Jez says something, because Jez has a great track record. Jez writes for Windows Central. The stuff he talks about is usually legit. And I'm perfectly fine being the chopped liver. I'm perfectly fine being Randall chopped liver, Randall nobody. I'm perfectly fine being the Jez interviewer.
I gave you big props in my article. I was like, I called you legendary insider,
I'm
and
not,
you didn't want me to call you that.
I'm not. Because I don't like that. Because I don't like because then, they write articles about that stuff, and it's just like, I'm not sure about this because I just heard it from one person. And it's like, it was just a fun thing, which turned out to be, well, I don't even know if it was true. It could be true. And they just, were like, we're going to go 12 months, and that's that. Let's see. Georgie says, any guesses what comes second half for Xbox? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Could be Hellblade, could be Avowed, could be Contraband, could be Project Belfry. Who knows,
could
though?
Could be Kardashians versus vampires.
Kalen says if it's... What?
All right, go on.
He says if it's...
I was just going to say, I'm going through the list of games that are coming this year, and I've got mountains of stuff to play.
I mean, there's always
Persona
stuff to
5's
play.
coming out this year. Soul Hackers is coming out this year. There's an absurd amount of stuff to play. Overwatch 2 is coming this year, man.
And nobody.
Overwatch 1.5.
Well, Overwatch is coming in early access. Early access, whatever that means.
Early access.
Yeah.
Man, that is interesting. I mean, technically, Diablo Immortal's early access.
Kalen says, if it's cloud, could you not play Riot games on your Xbox through xCloud? Well, not right now, because the only games you can play on xCloud are games that are in Game Pass from the console. Because you can't play like the PC games on your console through xCloud. I'm pretty sure you can't. I would imagine the same things would go for the Riot games. Can't. So
everything on xCloud has to be built for Xbox console.
Yeah,
it has to be an Xbox console game. At least at the moment. I'm sure they are working on PC Cloud because they're working on that for the business side of things. But right now, every game on xCloud has to have an full-blown Xbox version with achievements and all that stuff. So, yeah. So Wild Rift undoubtedly would be on xCloud. And increasingly, Rand, I think I've got a theory. Rand.
Okay.
I got a theory. I think like Microsoft is sort of like maybe using Xbox Game Pass as a way, because right now, right, if Wild Rift's on Android and iOS, so iOS and Google, they take 30% of all microtransactions, right? Which, well, is it 30%? It's a high percent. It's a lot of money, And a lot of those devs are thinking like, man, our free to play game, it's getting fleeced by Google and Apple, and can we not get a better deal? This is a very clever way for those devs to get a better deal on microtransactions without having to pay money to Google and Apple. So like Microsoft are giving them a bunch of money, so that they get that stuff for free, basically. And presumably that's going to be more lucrative for them than giving Apple and Google their cut. I wouldn't be surprised if Google or Apple object to this down the line. And they're like, hang on a second, you've used an outside service to bypass our sales mechanics, and get a better deal. I think that's quite clever when you think about it, right?
Yeah. Interesting. Mariana Pampa says, Jez, Grounded, what do you think?
I thought it looked excellent. I'm hyped for the praying mantis. There's a very, very attractive, flowery praying mantis there. I sort of I played Grounded a lot when it first launched, but this is what I do with early access games. I play them a little bit at launch, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Now I'm gonna wait for the full thing, because seeing the game in development and you only get a little bit of content here and there. I think it's cooler if you just wait for ages and then play the finished product, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing. When Grounded comes out properly, I'm going to go back into it and experience all the new stuff that I've missed. I've missed the koi pond, I missed the bees, and I've missed the turrets and all the crazy stuff about it. I've missed a lot of it. And so yeah, that's I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I might run through that with Colt. Colt's been playing that game for hundreds and hundreds of hours. I too played it at launch.
It's that game.
And I like the look of that game a lot. It's not, survival games aren't my thing, but now that it's actually complete, I probably might go.
And it's got a full story. They said,
yeah, full story, and Obsidian does pretty good stories. Let's see, we got a super chat here from Bob who says, "Do you think that Starfield will mark the end of No Man's Sky? Lots of people are comparing the games." No, I don't think it's the end of No Man's Sky because Starfield's coming out, and I'm not surprised they're being compared. Because it does seem like Starfield is like Fallout meets No Man's Sky, right? It kind of seems what it is.
They're calling it No Man's Skyrim.
No Man's Skyrim, okay. Brilliant. And Flame says it feels like everyone threw in the towel this year. So,
well, we're at the tail end of the pandemic. I think next year will be a lot different. E3 will be back. E3 will be back in person. Jeff Keighley and the ESA are gonna, they're gonna be competing hard for that, those the attention from those companies. It's gonna be interesting next year. But yeah, I think next year will be. This is the first year things have been slightly back to normal. We've seen in-person events for the first time this year since the pandemic started. We've seen more companies do shows this year than before. We've even seen in-person preview events going down. I've started getting invites to studios again, which hasn't happened for a long time. So we're starting to get back to normal. But I think this year's still, it's the coming out of it sort of phase, right?
Yeah.
And I think that by next year, everything will mostly be probably back to normal if we don't all die in the nuclear war. So
well, we can't die before Silksong comes out because the snitch, who if the real snitch might be in the chat, I don't know, but if it is the real snitch, Final Fantasy VII is coming, but he also said Silksong was going to come to Xbox, and indeed it was there, Jez.
Nailed it.
And it was the only game. Really cool. Was the only game not to follow Microsoft's own rules for the showcase. Oh, yes. Jeff Grubb says, did we talk about how handsome and right Jeff Grubb is yet? We literally gave you your flowers. We talked about you. We said, congrats, Jeff Grubb, on getting that full-time gig at Giant Bomb. And I said, you must be feeling really good about yourself because you're finally right for a change, Jeff. All those people that doubted you, it must feel really good. You're doing that victory tour today. Must feel really good. I love Jeff Grubb. Man. He's the best.
Yeah, Jeff nailed it. Like I said earlier, I had no info about that Kojima thing. I tried, man. I was like, I want to verify this. So, I want to know, but I couldn't find a damn thing. And Jeff was right. You don't bet against the Jeff.
Never. I never bet against the grub.
No.
J Train says, "Do you guys think they'll announce a new Banjo game this year?" Well,
Yeah, what happened to that
a
Banjo
buddy of
rumor?
mine, Mr. NVG, Modern Vintage Gamer, as well as Nate the Hate, they think there's something to those Banjo things, as they said on Nate's podcast about, MVG was saying that some devs he knows have been talking about, and there's some movement about Banjo. So, I mean, next year's the 25th anniversary. I don't know. I just want my Banjo Bros. It seems like every year they get their hopes up for it, and every year they get their hopes dashed. I just want one year where they can just not be disappointed.
Why doesn't Jeff, Tom, and the Snitch should team up and find out what's going on with Banjo? What's it going on? Where's Banjo? Where's Banjo, guys?
Hey, what is up with Banjo?
What is up with Banjo? I have no idea. Alright, man. It's
You doing okay over there?
Yeah, man. I'm just out of it. I'm just dying, man. I'm dying.
You're dying.
I'm okay.
Damien says the Riot games for PC and mobile, not cloud. Oh, okay. So it's just PC mobile. It wasn't for xCloud. Okay.
Yeah, it's for the mobile versions. That's what I was talking about. Like,
right. The mobile versions of the game.
Xbox
Okay.
Game Pass, you get all the games on. You get all the characters on the mobile games, which bypasses Apple and Google, which is hilarious to me, because fuck Apple and Google.
Dio Game says Xbox Wire says the Xbox Game Studios Bethesda titles are console launch exclusives, which is odd. Does this mean they are timed? In the show, they said console exclusive. Jez, what do you think?
Wait, Starfield says console launch exclusive.
Well, no. So so the trailers for Starfield and Redfall all said console exclusive, but Dio's saying that in the Xbox Wire article, they're listed as Xbox launch exclusives, like Xbox launch exclusive, which would imply that, it would potentially come to other platforms. I mean, I'm trying to look to see on the Xbox Wire right now. I mean, it does. I mean, Redfall says Redfall is a console launch exclusive on the Xbox Series X and S, coming to Windows PC day one on Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass.
Can you give me a link to that? I'll just ask PR.
Yeah, well, I think presumably Will Tuttle wrote this, because Will always writes these things normally. I don't know. I'd have to look at the byline on this. Let me see. And it says the same thing for Forza Motorsport. It says console launch exclusive.
So Forza Motorsport's go to PlayStation?
Obsidian, Pentiment, it says console launch exclusive.
I think that's just that's got to be a typo.
Yeah, As Dust Falls console launch exclusive.
Forza Motorsport is not. I mean, if it was just Starfield and Redfall, I think it'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But Forza Motorsport's not coming to PlayStation, surely. I mean, if it does, that'd be kind of cool, but
yeah, I don't see it. Starfield must be in a different article. Oh no, here's Starfield console launch exclusive. I don't know. And who wrote this? This was it's Will Tuttle. So, yeah. So,
I'll just ask PR. Let's
just ask PR, because that is definitely terminology you would use because the indie games use that terminology in the trailers, which everybody knows to mean at some point it'll go to other platforms. So if Xbox is using that in their article, you should probably ask them about it. LeBrum says, do you think the Riot deal gives some insight into what Microsoft may have been planning for World of Warcraft after the Activision deal closes, like merging subs in the Game Pass and perks? That's really interesting.
That's a really good point. And I think that could be true, I know one thing that I was speaking to someone who works on the Xbox Game Pass platform, and they were saying to me, like, we were talking about Prime Gaming, Amazon Prime Gaming, how like on Prime Gaming you can get like free Hearthstone packs and free free Overwatch loot boxes. It was actually Prime Gaming that got me into Hearthstone. Because I was watching Jeff Grubb's. Well, it's Jeff Grubb's fault, I guess. I was watching Jeff Grubb on Twitch, and I saw a pop up saying, "Get free Hearthstone packs for Hearthstone." I was like, "Ooh, I want some free Hearthstone card packs." So I clicked on that shit, and then it took me on a month-long obsession with Hearthstone, which has now petered out, I guess. But
Hey, you got a month.
Yeah.
You got a month of love on Hearthstone. Though,
I got a month of love for Hearthstone, yeah. But then, dude, I was really into Hearthstone, and I built up this great deck, and then in a week, the whole meta changed. I was like, oh man, I'm not building up another deck. So I was just like, I'm done with this now. I've had enough. Like, you got to change the meta every few weeks. I suppose they have to keep it interesting for people who are really into it. But I was just like, nah, I can't keep up with this anymore. But yeah, it's all Jeff Grubb's fault, indirectly. But
indirectly, everything's Jeff's fault. Blame Jeff.
Everything's Jeff. Blame Jeff. But but they were saying like, we need to do more stuff like that. We need to do more Game Pass perk stuff. And I suppose they said this in knowledge of the fact they were doing this thing with Riot. So I think one of the big next steps for Xbox Game Pass are family plan, which we haven't seen yet. Which that's one of my league. Like Jeff Grubb got his victory lap with Kojima and stuff. I'm sort of like nervous now about where's my family plan that I leaked. Where is it?
It seemed like that would have been, if that was coming, they would have talked about it by now. Right? They would have talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Yes.
You would have thought so, right? But yeah, I think the next steps for Game Pass, hopefully, a family plan, also cloud, expanding cloud to TVs and more TVs, and then also added value. I think one of the things they need to do to Game Pass is add value beyond the games, because the games are great, obviously, but people have a finite amount of time when it comes to games. So there's only so many games you can play at any one time. But what if there was perks for those games as well to add value? So what if you're a mono gamer and you only play one game? How do you add value for that person who only plays one game? You give them all the content in that game for free, like your League of Legends. So I think like the value add there for Blizzard games is like free Hearthstone packs every month, free loot crates every month for Overwatch. The subscription for World of Warcraft. I often thought that wouldn't happen for World of Warcraft, because I often just thought like that is the business model for WoW. I don't think WoW works if you bundle that subscription in, but maybe World of Warcraft gamers don't have a huge amount of overlap. So maybe they'd just be like, well, we'll throw that into Game Pass too and just create added value. Maybe that's what they do. I often thought it was weird that Blizzard didn't have their own subscription. Honestly, like, why is there no Blizzard Pass, which gives me World of Warcraft, Hearthstone packs, Diablo Immortal crests, and all this stuff? Come on, Kotick, I'm giving you free ideas here.
I mean, Kotick's not going to be in charge soon enough, so...
Yeah, okay.
Maybe Xbox will do that.
I'm giving Mikey Barra, I'm giving you free tips here. Make a Blizzard Pass. Give me World of Warcraft, free Hearthstone stuff, free Diablo Immortal stuff, all the heroes in Heroes of the Storm, rest in peace, and other stuff.
Some loot boxes in Overwatch 2. What would you get in Diablo 4?
Exactly.
Some skins?
Cosmetics.
Hey, we got
I don't know.
Tom Henderson just wrote an article 20 minutes ago, says Overdose is almost certainly Kojima's cloud-based Xbox game. Which, yes. I'm surprised. Remember me saying that? I remember when we were talking about it, you said there'd be no way Microsoft would publish a game with the title Overdose that would deal with drugs and stuff like that, with the main character named Heroin or whatever. You said they would never do that. And I said you're wrong, because they would love to work with Kojima. So
I thought that was edgy. I thought that was too edgy for Microsoft, getting in. Kojima's pretty edgy in general, right? I was just thinking, like, here's the scenario. Imagine everyone in chat. You can all imagine this with me, and Rand too. I invite you to imagine this. Imagine Phil and maybe Satya Nadella in a boardroom, right? And Kojima walks in to pitch Death Stranding. And he says, okay, guys, I need however many millions of dollars for this game, Death Stranding. By the way, it has piss grenades.
It's got more than piss grenades.
It has piss grenades and poop grenades and it has a marketing deal with Red Bull or whatever the energy drink was. I don't know. What was it? Was it Monster?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Monster. So it's like, you know, I was just kind of like, I just didn't expect that from Microsoft, because they generally they play it safe. Like I've criticized them for this. I feel like a lot of Microsoft writing has this sort of undercurrent of sanitization about it. But maybe when they talk about giving people creative freedom and stuff, maybe they really mean it, you know. And maybe they just accept that, okay, maybe we can work with Kojima, who makes games that are a little bit sexy, a little bit edgy, you know. It's I just wouldn't have expected that. So I guess we'll see, you know. I'm quite
Dude, a horror game by Kojima? Sign me up. And I was one of the people that actually
PT was incredible.
I actually liked Death Stranding quite a bit. I gave it like an 8 or an 8.5. I mean, it was ridiculously out there, but there was just something about like that. I know people were like, you just walk around and it's a literal walking simulator. I was like, I had a fun time playing it. I mean, it's not my favorite game of his, but I had a good time with Death Stranding. So,
I think like some people are saying in chat like Wasteland 3 was safe. You know, that's a really great point. But I honestly wonder if Phil Spencer knows that you can fuck a goat in Wasteland 3. I honestly want to know. I want to know if Phil Spencer knows you can get a buff for shagging a goat in Wasteland 3. Yeah. So, you know, that's pretty edgy. And that's another one. I was like, imagine Brian Fargo, Phil Spencer, and Satya Nadella in a boardroom pitching Wasteland 4. And he comes in and says, okay, you can shag a goat in this game. I kind of don't think Satya or Phil would be very happy about that. But I don't know.
We got Jigga J
it's
saying
the best game I've ever played.
The Microsoft show needed Atomic Heart, TMNT, Routine, Warhammer Darktide instead of being on Jeff's show. I mean, maybe TMNT being on an Xbox show would have been a bigger thing, for sure. Warhammer Darktide was at the 2020 show, so I'm not really sure they needed that again. Atomic Heart was at last year, so you know, I don't know if they needed that again either. Callan says, so we finally got Persona 5 Royale. Soul Hackers is coming. What do you think is the timeline for Persona 5 Strikers? Hold on here. I mean, like, we should be happy we just got Persona. The question I have about this Persona announcement, Jez, which is great, and I mean, I have Persona 5 on PlayStation, but I never played it. So this one's Persona 5 Royale. I don't know if I'm going to play it. My buddy Gopher says he knows I'll like it. Does this mean, like with Yakuza, where Xbox had none of the Yakuza games, then they get all the Yakuza games, and then they get Yakuza Like a Dragon day one? Is Xbox going to get Persona 6 day one now? Is this a sign that the Persona franchise is like here to stay, essentially? What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think this is them finding the right deal for Sega and Atlas and their teams, because it's not just about Sega, it's about Atlas. You know, it's they're like, is this right for us? You know, they have to commit the resources and agree to all this. So, you know, it's but they've found the right deal that works for everyone involved. And I guess there's a lot of excitement around cloud, because these games have been announced for cloud as well. You know, and I think it's quite telling that it's Persona 3 Portable as well coming at Xbox, and it might just be a coincidence, but I kind of feel like Persona 3 Portable, given that its UI is probably scaled for a smaller screen, that kind of says to me that's more of a cloud play, right? So
well, they also did announce that they're coming to PlayStation as well. So
yeah, have a cloud. Kind of.
Yeah. People were pissed about this
people-
announcement. People were pissed about the Kojima announcement, but whoo boy were they pissed about the Atlas announcement, which is strange
I just sent
considering.
you
I know I saw that already. People were really, really upset with Atlas. I don't understand why. It's like, you traitors, you betrayed PlayStation. It's like, Jesus.
It's crazy how people get about this shit, man. Like I just sent Rand a picture in DM. It's like a dude who's saying Persona's coming to Xbox. This is for you, Atlas, angry face. And it's a smashed up PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that a 5? Is that a 5? That's a
No,
5, isn't it?
That is. Hold on, let me see it
Cool.
again.
It has to be a 4. Well, it's a smashed up PlayStation either way.
I didn't think it was.
And it's
Oh,
like-
that's a 4. That's not a 5.
Oh yeah, it's got the angles, right? Yeah, so they smashed the PlayStation 4. So like that is hilarious to me, you know. What I hope it's just fake for clout, but it's just, if it's not, it's just, what the hell's wrong with people, man? What's wrong with people? What is wrong with people? I don't get the mentality. I'm like, what the fuck, man? You don't see PC gamers running around crying if like a PC game's on console. It's just so weird. I don't get it, man.
Because a lot
People get too invested.
they get too attached, and a lot of them are just a bunch of man babies. So when something shakes them to the core, they lash out, and this is what it is. But like looking at the game list of stuff that this show had, I love the fact that Silk Song is coming to Xbox, because honestly, that's like the only game that would have gotten me to hook up my Switch again. I adore Hollow Knight. And I was kind of like, all right, well, Silk Song's coming to only really Switch. So I was like, all right, you know what? Fine. I'll hook it up. But now I don't have to, because I can play it day one on my Xbox. High on Life, which was I thought High on Life High on Life is a game that I am actually very interested in. At first I was kind of like, what is this? And then I watched it again and I was like, oh, like I like this, like with the guns talking back to you, the Rick and Morty stuff. I thought that was cool.
Dude, I was like, what the hell is this? And then I heard Morty.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, that's Morty. And I was like,
I,
oh, okay, I'm into this now.
I thought
and
like the knife, yeah. No, I thought that was cool. Plague Tale Requiem coming to day one on Game Pass. Like, I'm a huge fan of the first one, so like I am totally there for the second. Still no release date. And nobody wants to give release dates anymore. It's just kind of just windows or whatever, just years. Forza Motorsport, as we talked about, looked ridiculously insane. Turn 10 knows what they're doing. I think this is like they were upgrading their engine. People were worried that it was also going to come up like also release on the Xbox One, because there was they were testing builds on it. But I was always told, as well as you, that they were just it was going to be a next gen only game, and they were kind of just using that to test. The only thing is, it's like I watched that and I'm just like, oh, man, I wish I liked sim racers. I really do, because I love Forza Horizon 5, but I've always just kind of like sim racers are just cold to me. But I know there's a large audience. Like it just I don't know, like they're not fun to play. Like Forza Horizon 5 is a blast to play. Forza Motorsport is always just, it's like cold and calculate. It's like trying to get the best line and like doing, like it's more technical than the Horizon series, because that's, it's a sim. And I don't know.
Can you get into that? Rand, I want to challenge you, man.
Oh, jeez.
I want to challenge you.
Okay, what are you going to challenge me on?
You only play the same kinds of games, man.
That's not true whatsoever.
I'm going
That's
to challenge
true.
you.
No,
it's not true. I'm sorry, Rand, but like one type of walking simulator and another type of walking simulator.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. What do you mean? Because I don't like fucking sim racers? I only play one type of game?
I challenge you. I'm challenging you, bro.
Jesus
I'm challenging
Christ.
You. And I'm challenging everyone else in chat, right? Try new genres every now and then.
You act
right?
like I haven't played like sim racers, though.
Dude, I know you only play.
I'm the man with the million for God's sake here. I've played
Yeah,
more
but
genres
Ram,
that you
exactly
could
the problem.
possibly even imagine, Jez.
That's exactly the problem, though. When you play other genres for work, and you're just thinking about the game score, and
But
you're
it
just
wasn't
sitting
work.
there with your
It
Diet
was
Coke
fun.
and ignoring the
Look,
game.
I've said this repeatedly. Barbie Puppy Rescue was a better game than Pokemon. And I stand by that statement. Stand by it 100%.
My throat. Oh, no.
My Horse and Me 2 was a better experience than Pokemon Sword and
My
Shield.
Horse and Me.
Yes.
My Horse and Me. What is that?
I'm just saying it's a game where you're a girl and you ride around on her horse. It's My Horse and Me 2. It's better than Pokemon.
Oh my god. Oh dude, someone claiming to be inside WTF, Mr. Snitch, says second 9/23 on SS. You can mod me in February. Goodbye. SS? What's SS?
I don't know. SS? I don't.
SS?
Where do you say this? I don't see it.
Scroll up.
I'm scrolling.
It's just above Bo's super chat.
September. Well, so I'm gonna say that'd be what, September 2nd, 2023 on SS. You can mod me in February. Goodbye. What does that mean?
No, February. So it's 9th of February. You're saying that's American date format, Rand.
Yeah. Oh well, but he used the European format to talk about the other thing he talked about on his Twitter though.
Oh right, that's interesting. Tom Henderson confirmed.
Did he?
But yeah, what is SS? I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
Maybe people in the chat can start speculating. Oh, Silk Song, maybe. Silk Song? Silk Song?
Well, if Final Fantasy VII gets announced, then he's clearly the guy. So,
Yeah, it's clear.
If AOE goes to console, I will saw my PC in half, says BO. Oh. Okay. Yosemite Blam says, Jez and Rand with the best of a 3-race challenge in Forza Motorsport 7. Loser plays Breath of the Wild, the Xbox 2 Grand Prix. Stream it.
Well, Rand, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to genres, right? Because yeah, you can talk about your Barbies and your Barbies and that, this and that, but you weren't playing them to really experience the true essence of Barbie horse racing, whatever it's called, right? You weren't really getting down to the metal of My Horse and Me, Rand. Okay, so I want to challenge you, Rand, to try and embrace sim racing.
No.
And really get into it and start to pour over the different types of tire materials and all that kind of stuff,
Oh, he says it's Silk Song in chat, by the way.
Ah, Silk Song, right. Well, that's pretty awesome. And we will mod you in February.
Yes.
Well, if you say in February, then surely he means the 9th of February, right?
I don't know, but either way. I DM'd it to you, so we have it there. No, I mean, I get
okay.
like playing games outside your comfort zone, but I already know. I'm going to play Forza Motorsport. It's not like I'm not going to play it because I played Forza Motorsport 7. It's just normally those games don't appeal to me, and I don't play them for long. So we'll be playing Motorsport. Flight Sim we talked about had the Halo Pelican. Overwatch 2, which made Jez cream his pants. What was their big announcements? It's coming early access October 2nd, and it's free to play. I thought the trailer they put together was really well done, trying to present it more as like an epic story,
Yeah, I mean, Overwatch does have its shorts. I don't know if you've ever watched any. Like, they're actually really good.
I've seen them,
But a couple of them made me like almost a bit teary-eyed.
Ooh.
But Blizzard cinematics are really good.
Well, that's because you're a low-down, dirty Blizzard fanboy. So
I am.
No wonder you would.
Dude, I put like 40 hours into Diablo more.
Then we had Oxide Games, Ara History Untold, Was that Project Indus or Project Chinook? Because I couldn't remember.
That was Indus.
That was Indus?
Indus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which only is coming to PC, and I hate that. I've always said, if you're gonna do the ecosystem stuff, you know, you're coming out there and like, hey, we want you to be able to play the games you want on the device you want with the people you want whenever you want. Then I'm sorry, like, our History Untold should be on Xbox same day as it's on PC, just like Age of Empires 4 should be. I understand why it's not, but like, I still think it should be. But
yeah, I agree, and I think now this is annoying because I've actually lost the document for Indus. I was trying to find it, but I am like 75% sure that Indus was coming to Xbox and was slated for Xbox. Because it's a turn-based strategy. You know, you don't need a mouse and keyboard to play turn-based strategy. If it's like Civ and it uses hexagons and shit like that, you can just easily play that with a controller. Civ works great with the controller. So, I'd heard that it was going to be in everything and cloud as well. You know, but it could be like Gears Tactics, where they launch it first on PC to gather feedback and stuff like that, and then expand it out later, like because they really want to get the controls right and they're nervous about alienating the PC base. I think it's an old-fashioned way of viewing it. But yeah. As we missed a super chat from Zach Riley, by the way, who said,
did we?
Yeah, he said so.
Okay, what did
He
say?
mentioned that Fallout 76 expansion's on Game Pass, but Elder Scrolls isn't. I mean, that is kind of interesting and strange, but it might be to do with business models and that kind of thing. A lot of these games sort of existed before the Game Pass deal, so it's hard to say exactly how that works because Fallout 76 servers, they only support like, what is it, a couple of dozen people or something. But like Elder Scrolls Online is like a full-blown MMO with like thousands of players to a server. So maybe like they need to have a separate sub, which is why I've said before, I didn't think World of Warcraft would come to the subscription, but maybe it will. You know, it's something to keep an eye on, I guess.
Yeah. Flame says no
says,
Rand. It's Ara History Untold. Ooh.
No, you have to say it with an accent.
How do you say it?
Like Ara. Like
What? Say that again, please.
Ara. No. That's how the e-girls say it, man. Don't know.
Oh man. Okay.
Anime. It's Japanese for "oh my."
Is it? I did not know that.
So I heard.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I heard. I don't know.
You intimately know.
It's just what I heard. Zolka told me, man.
Zolker told you? All right. Well, then you're 100% true of that. I totally believe you now. I totally believe you. Then we got the Pete Hines segment with ESO and Fallout 76, which was the same segment as last year. Just I wish it wasn't there. They could have totally removed that. Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels DLC coming July 19th. Looked really good. I really like Forza Horizon 3's Hot Wheels stuff, so I'll be there. Arc 2 with Vin Diesel. I mean, also that also was kind of like no gameplay. It was just like a CGI thing. So, yeah. Scorn, short trailer with a lot of H.R. Geiger looking art, penises and stuff. October 21st. Now, this was maybe looking at this list, can't wait for Silk Song. High on Life is something I'm really interested in. Definitely will play it. Plague Tale Requiem, top of my list. Forza Motorsport looked amazing. And the rest of it was like, then we had this section here is kind of like whatever. And we get to Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. Now that one captured my attention. That one looks like it could be something
from
special.
Aurora.
That's from Aurora 44.
Oh no, so they're called
A44. Yeah. So
did you finish Ashen?
I did finish Ashen, yes.
I never finished Ashen. I need to go back and finish it. It's worth it, right? But
yeah, I thought Ashen was okay. Yeah, But this looks
When
a
I
lot
tried to buy
better.
Ashen the first time, I hadn't. Ashen was like, well, it wasn't my first Souls, like Dark Souls was, but I played I've told this story before, but I tried to get into Dark Souls. I couldn't get into it because I was like, man, this is too hard for me. And then I tried Ashen, and again, I was like, I got those Dark Souls feelings where I was like, oh man, this is too hard for me. So I didn't play it. But then last year, obviously, I finally got into Dark Souls properly, and I finished Dark Souls finally after all this time. So like now that I sort of get Dark Souls games a little bit more, I might go back and give Ashen a proper try. Because Rand, I like my backlog. I like it. I don't mind. I'm not like you, Rand, who only wants to play the trending games so it can be popular on TikTok and Instagram and post about it and be with all the social media hype. I'm not like that, Rand. I will play. I will play old games because I've got integrity.
You don't have integrity.
What do you mean?
I'm kidding. You're sick is what you are.
I'm sick in more ways than one, baby.
Yeah.
Baby.
A Gun's a Gun says, I love how Jez didn't like Dark Souls and then became a huge fan of it. It's true, but you know what, a Gun? He still hasn't beat Elden Ring. As much of a lover of Dark Souls that he is, has he beat Dark Souls 2 yet? Nope.
I have not.
Has he beat Elden Ring yet? Nope. You want to know why? Because he does the typical Jez thing. He plays something for a little bit, and then he bounces off it, never to return. Typical Jez Corden.
What do you mean never to return?
Typical Jez Corden.
I returned to Dark Souls after 10 years. I'll return to Elden Ring in 10 years.
And then, okay. I'm just saying. I'm not surprised. But you know who did beat Elden Ring? Me. I did. So.
Yeah, but you cheated.
Oh, I did not cheat, sir.
Dude, everyone on Twitter said you cheated. Miles told me you cheated.
I mean, it could very well be I'm just a better Elden Ring player than Miles was.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You completed it in what, 20 hours or something? That sounds
like
sus
70 hours. 70 hours.
It's a bit sus to me, man. Takes most. If I look on that website, like average completion time, the average completion time is much higher than 70 hours. Oh. I think that's kind of sus, man.
Okay, game was pretty easy, sir. I gotta.
How did you get both completion achievements? Right?
Because I did the cloud save thing where I deleted my cloud save. Or I deleted the save on console and re-downloaded the cloud save, so it put me right back at the point where I could make the final choice again. It's thinking.
Did you use smarter? Did you use that to grind souls and get easy?
No. See, I work smarter, not harder. I work smarter, not harder. I didn't have to do 3 playthroughs of the game to get all the achievements. I only had to do 1, sir. One.
Did you use one of those cheat cartridges like the game Exploder?
No, I didn't. But I do gotta ask Ura Malice, who's in the chat, who's a member over at Reset Era and the Xbox OT. How are they feeling over there, man? Are they are the people down in the Wolfenstein 3 Avatar helmets? How are they feeling today? Are all the other Wolfenstein 3 helmets removed?
Oh man.
I kid. I don't know. I haven't looked to see how they were feeling after the show, so I don't know. But there are a lot of people wearing those helmets, so I'm sure they're probably not wearing them anymore. What else?
It's got to be coming. It's got to be coming. Wolfenstein. It has to be coming. But
yeah, but
I suppose
before Indiana Jones. I mean, I don't know. The Game Shark, Game Genie.
I don't know, man. Yeah, Game Genie. Do you want? I got a confession, Rand.
What?
When I was a little kid, I used the Game Genie to complete Final Fantasy VII the first time.
Really?
I did. It's my gamer confession, Rand.
That's sad. My gamer confession.
Rand.
Maybe my biggest regret.
Oh my God, Rand is stunned to silence.
Oh, you can't hear me? What do you mean?
Well, that was an awkward time for Rand to disappear. Oh, actually, am I disappearing?
Oh, can you not hear me? Hello?
No, I couldn't hear you.
Oh.
That was really awkward. You went silent after my confession. It was like, oh God, Rand's actually pissed.
No.
Yeah, the
I mean,
game genie.
I'm not surprised. It seems right up with what you normally do.
Wow.
I'm not
But man,
surprised.
I was a little kid, man. I didn't understand RPGs. And like how in Final Fantasy VII, if you equip a materia, it lowers your hit points because it's like you're making your character a mage, right? I
Yes.
didn't understand that as a kid. I just thought every character should have every materia. So basically, I had a party of 3 black mages, right? That's basically what I had. And I got to the Demon's Gate boss, which is like basically immune to magic, and I couldn't do it. It made me so frustrated. I was like, what the hell? This boss is impossible. He's just one-shotting me with his like icicle slam or whatever it's called. I got so salty, man. I never gotten that salty in a game in my life. I was like, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old or something. I threw my controller across the room. That's the only time I've ever broken a controller because of a game. So I got a Game Genie, man. I got a Game Genie, and I regret it every day.
Oh, Yosemite says the guy
Every
who
day.
cheated on
I have to live with
Pokemon.
that.
That's the only way I could get through
day.
that horribleness, Yosemite. I had to get. Well, I don't know how that's cheating, considering they let you trade Pokemon. So I used an aspect of the game. I don't know how that's cheating. But you know what,
yeah. You criticizing me? You cheated at Pokemon, and you cheated at Elden Ring with the save
I
scumming.
did not cheat at Elden Ring, sir.
And you used a mimic tier on every boss
Before
it was nerfed.
He was my buddy. It was great.
I haven't got a mimic tier.
It's because you didn't play the game. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but I killed
far enough.
Radahn pre-nerf without a mimic tier.
I didn't have a mimic. You can only get the mimic tier after you kill Radahn. So, yeah,
wow.
everybody in the world who's beaten Radahn killed him without a mimic tier.
Okay.
Then the Minecraft Legends game was announced. It looked okay, but they used the cinematic trailer and barely any gameplay. Lightyear Frontier was like some sort of mech thingamabob, which I didn't really care for. Same thing with Gunfire Reborn. That kind of whole section right there, I was kind of just like, kind of boring.
Lightyear, I was hyped out of my mind for Lightyear.
Really?
Yeah, it looks great. We've actually got a preview of it coming on Windows Central. A load of my team was like, "Oh my god, this looks amazing!" But we like cute farming simulator games like that at Windows Central.
Yeah, I see. I don't really like that. But however, the last case of Benedict
you
Fox.
only play one kind of game.
Amazing. I thought that was one of the standouts of the show. Then they showed an in-depth thing of As Dusk Falls, which has 8-player multiplayer coming on July 19th, so not a long wait for that. Nakara Blade Point, which is actually coming really soon, June 23rd. Pentiment, game that you leaked, even the name, coming November 22nd. This one I've seen some backlash on for the art style. So
I don't like that. I think that's nasty.
You think it's nasty?
But I remember, it reminded me of? It reminded me of the 360 era when Braid was announced, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, Braid looks so good! Braid looks so good!" Like cool art style. And I think it's just because it's Obsidian, just because it's Xbox. They think like every game they make has to be full blown AAA ray tracing, 4K graphics. And like they're wanting to make a smaller game with a smaller team and flex their creative muscles, and people get mad about it. I say to that, you make a fucking game.
Ooh, challenge.
Easy to make a tweet. Yeah, it's easy to make a tweet. Why don't you make a fucking game? So Josh Scheuer has never made a bad game, so I'm completely all over that.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I mean, it's Xbox's big holiday game, so.
Dude, it's your kind of game, though, isn't it?
No, I mean, I'll play it. I'll play it.
Talking to people, no combat.
Oh my god, Jez, here you go. You just said Josh Sawyer doesn't make bad game. Now you're attacking me.
Yeah, like it will. If Josh Sawyer makes a walking simulator, then it's a great walking simulator. Okay, so at least you've got that going for you.
So is any game that doesn't have combat a walking simulator to you? Is that what it is?
Well, you pretty much made Elden Ring a combat simulator by like going for a power stance bleed build. And just
I didn't actually do a bleed build. I didn't do a bleed build at all.
You still cheated.
Okay, fair enough. Grounded's coming out of coming out of early access in September. Erebin Shadow Legacy, which is another game I thought would look really interesting. I like those stealth games, and she can kind of like hide in the shadows. That's definitely on my radar for whenever that comes out next year. Then what I thought was the game of the show, Diablo 4. We talked about it. Jez creamed his pants over it. That presentation I thought was really good. It was kind of confusing at first because when that trailer started, I was like, oh, this has got to be Diablo 4. But I was just like, is this really Diablo 4? Wasn't really sure. And then it was. But the gameplay looks really solid. I just wonder if it's also one of the few games that's not coming to Game Pass on day one yet because, well, I wonder when the deal's going to close. And then if the deal closes in time before Diablo 4 launches, could they then be like, all right, you're in Game Pass? You know what I mean? Or if it launches, say Diablo 4, say the deal closes in like, let's just say May and Diablo launches in March. Does Diablo 4 launch, the deal closes, and then as the deal closes, Diablo 4 then goes into Game Pass? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how those things work out.
Diablo 4 is definitely going into Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, it probably eventually. I guess it depends on when the deal closes. Then you had a minute trailer for Sea of Thieves talking about their new season. A trailer for Ravenlock that I wasn't very interested in. A trailer for Cocoon.
Which one was Ravenlock?
Ravenlock was
the game
Cocumber
by
Games. The Cocumber Games one.
Echo Generation.
Yeah. Them.
I still need to play that. That's like in my backlog. Echo Generation. I'm really excited for that because it's turn-based. You know me, Rand.
I know
you walk in single players. I only play turn-based games.
You only play turn-based games. You only play them on the cloud. Cocoon from the gameplay designer of Inside, so that immediately had me interested. And then the return of Team Ninja to the Xbox platform with Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which, you know,
that looked pretty amazing.
The trailer was really cool. I don't,
right?
Yeah, they said early next year, day one on Game Pass. So, you know, we'll have to. I mean, I definitely got my attention.
Maybe that's the game Microsoft takes to Tokyo Game Show.
Possibly. Phil Spencer came out, announced Persona Collection 3, 4, and 5, with 5 coming October 22nd this year, or maybe it's October 21st. And he announced the partnership with Kojima. So Kojima came out and was like, this is a game I always wanted made, and Microsoft's cloud technology, blah, 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 blah. Later, he just arrived, didn't really say much, and then left. Like, okay, they're working with Kojima.
Lie, right? Well, I do like Kojima's games.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to lie. He gives me Peter Molyneux vibes sometimes.
Really?
I think, like, when he's saying stuff like, oh, Microsoft's cloud technology gives me the opportunity to make something I never made before, I'm kind of sitting there thinking, like, really? Where is this going to be another Crackdown thing where it's like, you know, it actually doesn't really matter that much what the cloud does? You know, did Crackdown's destruction, while cool, make the multiplayer good? Not really. So I'm kind of skeptical, you know? I'm kind of skeptical, Rand.
Okay, fair enough.
Are you skeptical?
No, not really. I'm not. No, not skeptical.
You feeling the Kojima hype?
Yeah, dude. I told you I really like Kojima's games. So
I thought you don't like cloud though.
I mean, I presumably be able to play it on the Xbox since cloud is Xbox. So we'll see. I mean, if it's only cloud, like I'd have to only play it on my phone. Maybe that's a different story. So I guess it depends. So, and then they had the big blowout of Starfield, which Jez hyped up about. I thought the gunplay was kind of iffy. The game definitely looks a lot better in the 4K stuff, in 4K, than it did in the stream. And when they mentioned 1,000 planets, I was like, oh no. I'm not somebody who's just like, bigger is better sometimes. You know, there's like, it reminded me of like, our open world is 2 times the size of our last one. That's not necessarily a good thing to me. So like him saying like, oh, there's 1,000 planets and you can explore each one. To me, that wasn't a good thing. But to others, maybe it was.
I like it if it's fun. But But yeah, it's not often that it is fun. Like a lot of people said Skyrim was too big, but I thought that was perfect. I thought Skyrim was the perfect thing. I covered the whole map in Skyrim, basically. I'm sure the stuff that I haven't seen, it's that big. But like, it felt like every cave you went into in Skyrim, there was something. I remember going into some random cave, like, or some random house in like the north side of it, and then like there's like a bunch of dead bodies in there with some notes, and it's just this little house, but like it unfolds into this full murder mystery, just randomly, and it's just like, oh, that's really cool. It's not even a quest, you can just explore. I hope it has stuff like that. I hope these like planets aren't just like Mass Effect 1's planets, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll have to see.
That's coming early next year, or as they say, 2023, in the next 12 months. Kalen says, when is Deathloop coming to Game Pass? Yeah, no mention of Deathloop, no trailer. We don't know when. I mean, I guess it all depends on when that contract's up. When are they allowed to put Deathloop on Xbox? We don't know. The little fine print at the end of the trailer, when on the PlayStation side, said like at the earliest September. So I guess we'll find out in September for sure. So I guess here's the thing. When I originally watched the show, I was kind of like in the B- category. There's this parts here where I thought you could have cut and moved them to the extended showcase. They like when people were like, "Oh, 95 minutes is amazing," but there's definitely something they could have trimmed it up a little bit to make it a little bit tighter. I really like the presentation and format. I like to focus on gameplay quite a bit. I think this was the wrong show to actually do it because a lot of the stuff was already announced titles. I think it would work better next year because you have a lot more games that are essentially coming instead of this year that where there really isn't. So I would actually be happy if they went with this format moving forward. If it was just something that was like, hey, we're doing this from now on, everything's just going to be focused on the next year, that would be fine. I would think it's odd if they switched to next year and they just were like, oh, whatever, we're back to announcing stuff 2 to 3 years out again. So I would be perfectly okay with this format moving forward. Because like as they move forward, there's going to be more games, so you'd be able to see more new announcements. And that first announcement you would see of the game would be an actual like gameplay segment instead of like a short CGI trailer or something.
Yeah. It lifts pressure on them to have a vertical slice of games that are not ready to be vertically sliced, frankly. And I think it should be that way. I think Microsoft should put a flagpole in that and just be like, yep, this is how we're doing it. Unless there is a situation where they do have really solid gameplay for something that's maybe 2 years out or something like that, and they need something to elevate it. I don't think it should be a hard rule, but it should be like the general guideline is that they're sticking to 12 months and maybe the odd thing if it makes sense or if they've got the content. But I don't think they should disrupt the developmental process to get that content.
Maybe they should do 18 months instead of 12, where it's like the show's just like what's coming the next 6 months and then what's coming next year to give you a roadmap of the stuff coming in 2023 at like all the way at the end. But then maybe they were like, no, because stuff at the end of 2023 could easily be delayed to 2024. Because like if they did it like for this show, then I think a lot of people would have liked it more because they would have saw Hellblade and like Contraband and Avowed and stuff as well, and that would have been like, okay, that's what a lot of people wanted to see. So I guess it really depends what they move forward with it. It's just that I felt personally that there was just it was just like a repeat almost of last year to a certain degree. But I do appreciate the format, and I would not be against them doing it again. Watching it in 4K, I feel like would raise my score slightly to like a B. I do think last year's show was better. Like I felt a lot like when I watched last year's show, I was like, all right, this is the best show they've done in a long time, since probably 2018. Watching this show, I was just like, it's good, but it's not great. It's not bad. It's just kind of just like, all right, it's, it's a B. So I think if they did this same type of show next year, it would probably be an A.
And they have to get it to 4K. They have to get it to 4K.
But that's probably not going to happen. I think it maybe has something to do with the stream specifications or something.
Do you know, Rand? This wouldn't have happened if Mixer was still around. Rand?
Yeah. I mean, no, screw Mixer.
Is that your reaction to that?
No, screw Mixer. I don't care about Mixer. I don't care. It's funny because...
What if, right?
What?
What if Microsoft, instead of spending $72 billion on Activision, spent $72 billion buying out every single major Twitch streamer and moved them all to Mixer?
This may be a hot take, but I'm glad they axed Mixer.
Bruh.
I was really glad they got rid of it.
I'm sad. I know why they did it and I get it, but I'm still kind of sad about it. I mean, I'm looking like, that Trovo. Have you heard of Trovo Live? 10 cents competitor to Twitch.
No.
Steve, not even heard of it.
No, I've not even heard of it. No.
Yeah. Tencent has a competitor to Twitch called Trovo Live, right? And they've been running it for a couple of years now. And looking at it, and even though Trovo can leverage like the Riot stuff, if they wanted to, they just kind of don't, because they know no one would watch it, and a lot of their top streamers have way less views than Mixer did. Kind of sad. And the number one show being streamed right now is like the IRL streaming, if you know what I mean. That's funny. IRL.
Smack the Panda says, "Hey Rand and Jez, I wanted to know your standpoint on Diablo Immortal and the fact that the pay to win is becoming more prevalent and will be in Diablo 4." I mean, Jez has talked at length about Diablo Immortal, and yeah, we don't think it's in Diablo 4, right, Jez? Is that what you're saying?
It's not. It's hard confirmed that there's no pay to win in Diablo 4. They've been very, very vocal about this because they know people are going to be like, "Oh my god, pay to win, blah 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 blah." But pay to win is not in Diablo 4. They've said very strongly it's going to be cosmetics and story expansions, like the DLC they did for Diablo 3, where you fought against Death. I can't remember his name. But that's how they're funding Diablo 4, thank God. That being said, it actually does really worry me, Diablo more, because it's the first time, really, that a game has been so aggressively pay to win with a popular Western IP and gotten away with it that I'm aware of. I mean, there's a lot of games out there that have sort of come and gone, and they've either not been that good and people don't care about them, or they've not been competitive and people don't care about them. Like, you can pay to win in Fallout Shelter, but why the hell would you? You're not competing against anyone. It's pointless to pay to win in that, And you can pay in Pokemon Go to get like extra stuff, but you've still got to go out there and walk and catch the Pokemon. And again, you're not really competing with anyone, really, per se. But in Diablo Immortal, the whole game is based around leaderboards, it's based around PvP, and you absolutely have to pay to win and compete with the people who are dropping tens of thousands of dollars. And there are people dropping tens of thousands of dollars into this game. Like, I saw a graph yesterday where it was like, to be guaranteed 100% chance to get a 5-star gem, which increases your power by a huge amount. It's a huge amount because it raises your resonance, which increases your base damage. You have to spend something like $40,000 to have like a 95% chance. And even then, it's not 100% chance. So it's like, and apparently, speaking to mobile devs that I know, this is normal for like those kind of games in Asia, where they're expected to have a very deep potential spend before a whale hits the cap. Now, a whale is someone who is willing to spend thousands of dollars because they're a millionaire, or they're the child of a billionaire or something, and they've got thousands of dollars of disposable income, and to them it just doesn't matter. They will drop $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in a mobile game, because for them the enjoyment comes from wasting the money, basically, and gambling. It's how Las Vegas works, you know. Las Vegas has they have like casinos for like average people like us, and then they have casinos for millionaires, and then they have casinos for billionaires, where the minimum spend is like, okay, you buy in at like $1 million, you know. And that's ultimately what they're doing with these games, is turning them into very 3D intensive casinos. And that is scary, because it's kind of like, if I was sort of laughing because Path of Exile is free to play, and it has microtransactions, but then none of them are pay to win. There's a couple of like convenience transactions where you can get an expanded inventory. There's loads of cosmetics, but there's no pay to win whatsoever. And I can't help but feel like, Rand, if you're the dev of Path of Exile and you've made a free to play version of Diablo that has mountains of free content, and then Diablo Immortal just comes in and makes $15 million in a week, while being pay to win, the thing that everyone hates. The Path of Exile devs must be just looking at that and thinking, man, we've done this all wrong, you know. Like,
maybe, yeah.
It's inequality seeping into gaming, you know. We get into a point where inequality is so bad that developers are thinking like, we can make games just for rich people. And that's the sick thing. That's the scary thing, you know. Games were supposed to be a place where everyone could compete on an equal footing, where the only thing that mattered was skill and investment. And Diablo Immortal, and he's sort of like spearheading this sort of shift in AAA Western development, where it's like, do we need to make games for poor people? And I know that Blizzard's sitting there in a boardroom saying shit like, oh, well, it's free. It's free. And we give you so much content for free. And yeah, Diablo Immortal's story is great. It really is. Like, the dungeons are amazing. The graphics are great. The characters are actually really good. And the gameplay is really addictive. But that's the problem. It's like, man, I'm really enjoying this game. And then you get to the end and it's like, oh, shit. I literally cannot play anymore with all these other people unless I spend money. And it's manipulative. It's predatory. It feeds on the basic social instincts of being like, I want to be social and join in and fit in. And then there's all these FOMO playing in. And it's you either get to a point where it's like, well, I'm going to start spending money, or I'm going to uninstall the game and just feel sad about it. And yeah, you can just uninstall the game, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I bought the Battle Pass because I was having fun to start with, and I was like, yeah, I'm having fun. I'll support the game and I'll buy the Battle Pass, which was like, it was like $10 or something. And you know, once I've maxed out the Battle Pass, which I've already done, which is pretty easy to do, I'm going to uninstall it and never play it again, because I can't compete with the people who are spending thousands of dollars, and it's shit, man.
Yeah, well,
and I just don't want to see that creep into other games that are popular. Like, what if there's a Halo pay-to-win game, or a Forza pay-to-win game? You know, where does this end?
I don't know, but I will say, I don't want to cut you off, but the Capcom Showcase is about to start in like a minute.
We should bounce then.
Yeah, I figured, you know what, it's time to end the show. We won't take any questions because the Capcom Showcase is starting, so I figured everybody wants to watch that. We'll be back on Friday with another podcast with some guests. I'll try to gather together some people to have another podcast talk about some stuff. So thank you guys for being here. We had like well over 2,000 people, which is great. Thank you for hanging out with us this whole time. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. Subscribe if it was your first time here. And with that said, I guess we'll see you later on in the week on Friday for another show. And maybe Xbox has some, I don't know, tomorrow with the Extended Showcase. Who knows what they're going to show. Maybe I'll make a video about it. I don't know. But anyways, hope you guys have a good rest of the week. We appreciate everyone being here. And we'll see you on Friday. Later.
Okay, everybody. All right.